Oh, it's 1708 President.
Is it cat?
I don't remember. It's either. I don't remember.
What did I get the other day? I looked on the question. Could you have called me and told me you wasn't gonna pay? Can you see Rob?
No, I just got my stuff on here. Yep, got him. So, Sonia's coming virtual.
So she had to dig back and tell me. Okay.
All right, you good?
Beach.
Is it the beach?
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's how it went to that. And then what's mentioned? I'm going to physical therapy. I'm like, what? Both? Now, the last one was Boston
So
Associates.
it depends what role.
Prosecutor, whatever. That's the one I just went to this time. I know that they accept that, because that's who I went to at that time. Yeah, because I paid $20. So yeah, the word has got to be included, because I'm not gonna.
You just need yours?
I'm not even on some highway.
Is that yours, ma'am? Okay.
Yeah, it's $20 every time I went. $60. I
always forget that.
What? That's what they told me. They told me 6 weeks. I was just gonna drink I didn't put the next day.
Is that special? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I guess I should try this call because I'm trying to come here to start. Everything's behind. Because I'll do it early in the morning. Yeah, I wish.
Rob Tarver, Rob Tarver, thumbs up if you can hear me okay?
Cross keys, I think they're in there certain days till 7 or 8 at night.
Miss Worley, thumbs up if you can hear me okay? Great.
Yeah.
Can you test your voice, please?
I'm not on yet.
No, just the mic is on.
Can everyone hear? Thumbs up, everybody?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I'll be saying something.
No, I can't hear you, Rob. Rob, I can, oh, that's on me.
Yeah, we need to be able to hear him.
Where's the,
Audio?
Yeah.
We have audio?
Rob, talk again?
Hello. Hi, this is Rob Tarver. Hello. You got me?
Talk again, Rob.
I'm talking all along. So if you're not hearing me, there may be something wrong.
No, I know what it is.
I can hear you, Mr. Tarver.
And I hear you, but I don't know if they can hear us. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, yourself.
I have nothing to complain about.
Uh-oh, it's really low.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Turn it up.
Are we good?
Did you want me to let everybody else?
How's our audio?
Good.
Recording in progress.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah, if they saying something, I can't hear either.
Can't hear anything.
Okay, thumbs up if you can hear me.
Now I can.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, everyone, we're gonna get started. Madam Clerk, can you share the agenda on your screen, please?
Yeah, you're Sharon Williams.
Yes. You got it.
Because she sent 2 of them, so I just want to make sure I have the list.
What I did with the ice cream was wrong.
Do you care if Kevin speaks up to grow up without their mother now? Word for people like you in the country. Parentado.
All right, you got it? Okay, while you look for it, I'll go ahead and start the meeting. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, P.L. 1975, notice of this meeting was posted on the Borough of Penns Grove Municipal Bulletin Board designed for that purpose. Notice was also posted on the Borough of Penns Grove website at www.pennsgrove-nj.org and was emailed to the official newspaper as provided by resolution. This March 2nd, 2022 meeting is being held in person in the courtroom of Borough Hall, 1 State Street, Penns Grove, New Jersey. Additionally, this meeting is also being held via Zoom online meeting platform. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart and repeat with or say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Madam Clerk, can you do the invocation, please?
Almighty Father, as we stand before you this evening, we ask for your guidance and wisdom in all matters which come before this governing body, that we always be aware of the needs of the people of this community. Grant us with the patience and the understanding to lead and direct others in the very best manner possible. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Councilman Porter,
Here.
Council President Martin, Councilwoman Mincy,
Here.
Councilman Rambo,
Here.
Councilwoman Scarpese. Here. Councilwoman Worley.
Here.
All present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want to read this statement. This is the regular council meeting of the Borough Council of Pennsboro. Before we begin, please be aware of our rules in this chamber. All persons are to be seated unless all seats are filled, in which case you may stand against the wall, which we don't have that problem tonight, in an orderly fashion. We are asking that all gentlemen remove your hats. All persons are to remain quiet during the proceedings. This is so that everyone is able to hear what is going on. Please turn off all cell phones or set them to silent. No one shall speak unless they are invited to do so by the council president or myself. Shouting, interrupting, speaking out of turn, or acting disorderly in any fashion will not be tolerated, and anyone doing so will be removed from this meeting. When and if you are permitted or invited to the microphone to speak, state your name and address. You are allotted 3 minutes for comment. Please respect the time for other persons and end your speech within the 3 minutes allowed. I know that sometimes, depending on what we're talking about, that's kind of difficult to do, but let's just keep in mind that others may want to speak publicly as well. If it is your intention to ask a question of council, you will be permitted to ask a maximum of 2 questions. Your questions are to be clearly stated, and after the questions are asked, you are to take your seat. I will determine if the question can be answered and by whom. Finally, please understand that there will be no personal attacks or name calling. If you do so, your time will be immediately cut short and you may be asked to leave. Thank you for everyone's understanding. First item on the agenda is the payment of bills and approval of bill lists. May I have a motion to adopt? Motion to adopt. Thank you, Council President Martin. May I have a second? Thank you, Councilwoman Worley. Madam Clerk, can you do roll call? Vote, please.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Council President Morton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Yes.
Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirmed, motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is introduction of resolutions for consideration by consent. Resolution 2022-3-50, resolution authorizing the application to the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, Community Energy Planning Grant Program. Resolution 2022-3-51, that is a resolution authorizing a proposal for professional services for TRIAD and Associates. 2022-3-52, that is temporary budget resolution.
Madam Mayor, that particular resolution has to be read by itself and voted by itself.
Okay, is that what you were gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say the title is actually Emergency Temporary Budget Resolution.
We'll have recommend that, emergency temporary budget resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Okay, resolution 2022-3-53. That is a resolution of support for the application of the Twin Bridges. And resolution 2022-3-54. That is a resolution designating March as Women's History Month in the Borough of Pennsboro. And 2022-3-56, that is a resolution adopting the mission statement. 2022-3-57, that is a resolution authorizing hiring the police officer, Justin Smith. And 2022-3-58, that is a resolution authorizing the hiring of a senior office administrator. May I have a motion to adopt those resolutions with the accepted? Yes.
Motion, got your motion.
Oh, that was Councilwoman. Okay.
Worthy, yes.
Okay, hold on, Councilwoman. May I have thank you for being so eager, though. May I have a motion to adopt these resolutions with the exception of 2022-3-52? That resolution will be doing separately. All right, Councilwoman Worley.
Motion to adopt.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second. Oh, thank you, Councilman Carter.
Yes, Patsy and their daughter. Yes, oh, yes. Somebody twisted my arm.
Madam Clerk,
I got it. I got it.
You need my services?
All right. Yeah.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Council President Martin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Wait a minute. We need to ask the question. We need to say that.
Want to ask a question? We'll open it for discussion. Which resolution?
we're already into the vote.
Well, we can answer her question afterwards, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll answer your question afterwards.
Councilwoman Mincy, Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirmed, motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Mincy. What was
I
your
just wanted to make sure 53, is that a cannabis company?
Yes.
question? Yes, it is.
Because it says application for Twin Bridges. We got apartment complexes that's called
Twin Bridges is the name of the company.
Okay,
And this is a,
letter of support.
yes, for that support. This is a, this owner is a Pennsboro native too.
No, I don't care.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm just sharing.
No, but I just wanted to make sure, when you see Twin Bridges, I want to make sure that's what that was.
Was that the championship?
Thank
No,
you.
we used to have an apartment. It used to be an apartment complex right here called Twin Bridges, but it's not called that no longer.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next resolution is 2022-3-52, and that's the emergency temporary budget resolution. Steve, is there something that you need to say before we?
Well, this is because we not able to adopt our 2022 budget. We have to add additional appropriations for operations. So we originally do the temporary budget. So for an additional 3 months, there's emergency temporary budget. Some are extra costs, so we have upfront insurance billings, pension billings. So I take that into account when I craft the resolution for mayor and council. So what I do is when we adopt it, I input this in the system. And I'll give mayor a copy, council a copy of the budget status report that will show you the appropriations and expenditure today.
That's it?
Yes, thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Council President Martin. Madam Clerk, can you do roll call, please?
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Council President Martin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Yes.
Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirmed, motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is the first reading and introduction of ordinances. First ordinance is 2022-2, and that is an ordinance creating the Department of Public Safety, the Division of Police, the Division of Fire, and the Division of Emergency Management, and the title and position of Public Safety Director. Is there any discussion?
That should be moved first.
It needs to be moved first? Okay. May I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you, Council President Martin. May I have a second?
Second. Go ahead. She got it.
Who is that? Oh, thank you, Councilwoman Mincy. Is there any discussion?
Yes, which on here, we must be rescinding some of the things because this is already existing. So when we get the final vote, can we have which ordinances are being rescinded and being replaced by this? And that's for Mr. Tarver.
It doesn't rescind any of the actions of the fire or police department, and the ordinance is clear that the management of the police department as it's related to the statutes which allow for the management of police department continue, as well as the division of fire as well. The only real change is the creation of the division of emergency management, which we're required to do by statute and required to have this so that we can actually create this emergency management committee, which is required again by state statute. And the only other change is that it creates a mechanism for oversight, administrative oversight for both the Department of Police, Division of Police, and the Division of Fire, which wasn't there before, as well as the Division of Emergency Management.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I got a question.
Sure.
He said create this position of emergency manager. This is, so he's gonna be the OEM?
No,
No, I didn't say create the position of emergency. I said it creates oversight of the Division of Emergency Management and allows for the Division of Emergency Management to be created, the division, not the position, and for us to be in compliance with the statute. There's a statute that requires us to have an emergency management committee created within the borough, and that's created through the emergency management department or division. So that's what we're trying to do to be in compliance with that.
Could you forward the statute?
It's actually in the ordinance, but I will forward it. Yes.
Deputy Ashcraft has a question.
Yes, is EMS also under that ordinance?
I'm sorry, you broke up on my computer.
She's asking, is EMS under that ordinance?
Well, yeah, I believe that they would be under that ordinance for administrative purposes. In other words, to the extent that each of these divisions has budgeting and financial responsibilities, and we have to be responsible for those, then it falls underneath that administratively. And that's what we were trying to do. We're trying to create the administrative safety net to the extent that we're allowed to by statute over the police division, the fire division, and the creation of the emergency management division, which would include all of the emergency management services.
Yeah.
EMS EMS is emergency medical services, which is the ambulance service, not the OEM portion.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Is the ambulance basically lumped in the same category as fire? I know that at this time, ambulance services are not designated as essential, like fire and police, but they're hopefully going to change that someday. But I didn't know if that was why it's not really worded that way.
Yeah, no, it is. And actually inside of the actual ordinance, the ordinance, I believe, references that. But it is put in there for administrative purposes. In other words, to have administrative oversight for budgeting and things of that nature. And heretofore, apparently, there wasn't an administrative chain going up to the business administrator. What we're trying to do is create a chain of administrative responsibility and accountability from each division all the way up to the business administrator and CFO and business administrator.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And to that point, it's my understanding at this time that the fire department and the EMS services don't have access to their actual budget, so they know how much they have to spend and how to allocate that. So as part of this, they should be getting their budget so they can do some planning as to how to spend their money.
So this will help with that, correct, Mr. Tarver?
Yeah, the whole idea is to now create a framework and a protocol for each of these departments to be able to function financially, get the things that they need, but also for the borough to be able to be accountable for any of the funds that are required and spent by each of these departments.
And to that point, at the last meeting, we were talking about having each of the committees get that information for their own committee too.
you want to respond to that?
Yes, this is budget season. First, let me say, Chief Adam and Captain Ashcraft, I've told both of them this myself in the last 2 weeks, that as we approach budget season, which is this month, because we have to have it before council by March 31st for a vote. This is the time that we go through the budget for every department line by line. Every department should already be in their own time and space, creating a wish list and giving recommendations based off of the previous year's budgets of what changes should be made. And then Steve and I will go through that person by person, department by department. Miss Ashcraft, or I should say EMS and fire, will work with Director Rivera.
Okay.
And then I would work with them just like with police. And then Mr. Lab and I take those recommendations, take that wish list and see what can fit and what cannot fit. And then we share that both in committee, the full council, and the budget meeting to explain the expenditures and the line items as they're as presented.
And when is this budget meeting? When is the budget meeting?
It could, that's a council decision, but it could be the council, it could be at the next council meeting itself.
Because
Carney's
Point already, they have 4.
You can't compare us to Carney's Point because we're in under state aid, so our process is different, our deadlines are different. So we're in a different situation.
But that can be set up within the next week or so, right?
So what we are in this, yes, and then we already have a lot of this work has already been done. So I already have, and again, everyone knows this. This isn't, I'm not saying anything new. I have a wish list of what items each department needs already. We've had that since April of last year.
Okay.
And we work off of that. We worked off of that for the recovery. When we decided what departments needed money for what things, we've done this in various iterations using non-general revenue money. This time it's just for the general budget itself.
So when do these wish lists have to be into you? Because we have to have this adopted by the end of March. So when should each department get the wish list into you by? What's the deadline? What would be the best?
Right, I would say this way. Every if you think of a department, our department, because we're small, I'm kind of like the director of housing and zoning. And then I have my own office, and then you're the mayor, and I'll talk to you about your department.
Right.
Council is responsible for reviewing its own budget. So that means that leaves us with police, fire, EMS. We already have most of that work done because of the grant work that we've done, American recovery work that we've done in the capital budget. So with that said, but that conversation should really happen next week.
Okay, is it fair to say that we should have each department should have this into you by the 11th, Friday the 11th? Can we say that's a good date?
I don't know why we don't have a budget meeting, and I don't mean a council meeting, a budget meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to have a budget meeting. So he's saying we can set it up next week.
Yeah, you said you want us to have it into him by.
No, but I'm saying we
Okay,
can have the budget
so-
meeting next week,
so-
and then each department can have their stuff in by the end of next week.
Can you
I have
define
a-
department?
Wait,
Because
Hold on.
all right, let me say this.
Hold on.
You have to remember, this is the first budget process with an administrator.
Okay,
So the traditions of how Pennsboro Council did this in the past, not to say that they may not apply necessarily, because because council has ceded some of its duties that it once had to the administrator. So in that, it changes the process. Now, so even when you say budget meeting, and I mean, that sounds like a good idea, but it would be helpful just to define exactly what your expectations would be in a meeting like that for the full council versus committees.
Because if we're in the meeting together, I'm on 3 different committees. We can all be here to talk about it together. Steve can explain his, because sometimes I don't understand Steve with his, I don't. So we need to understand what's going on. You keep telling us we already know. I don't know. I don't know what the budget is. I'm over the safety committee. I don't know what the budget is for that. I don't know. I don't know where it's at. I'm on recreation. I don't know all that. So we need a whole budget meeting so we can discuss all this and put in what we want, because what we put in before may not fit this year. What we put in may have been done, may not have been done. So if we have one meeting, not a council meeting, because it'd be too long. If we have a budget meeting, just a budget meeting, we can hash that out a couple hours.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this.
I have an update for you now that was concerning the budget. You want me to wait till later or say
You
now?
can give it up to me.
Okay, and this is, we're talking about the budget. So right now I'm working on a budget spreadsheet. So each year I'll update from 2021 to 2022. I have a spreadsheet with appropriations, expenditure. What I do is I put in year end of 2021, the budget that was adopted, any transfers, any refunds, expenditures, encumbrances. So everything ties into what's expended and the balance year end. And then what I do is I put a column in for a preliminary 2022. So I do a base analysis with the fixed costs that I have now, insurance, JIF insurance. I do analysis of insurance, pension, all the fixed costs I put in, service agreements, I put in the costs that I know are 2022 fixed costs. There's analysis I have to do for group insurance. I do have to, we have to have meetings for the police department, because the police department budget, which coincides with the group insurance, we have a unique situation. It's almost like a revolving door of officers coming in and out. So that always changes my figures. And not only my figures that I do base figures, but also the figures for group insurance. So then I do the best estimate with the input of the director and administrator. And I'm always cautious. I don't want to under budget. So there's a lot of factors I put in. So when I get all that information together, I have a rough draft of 2022 appropriations. I look at the transfers. Okay, I make my mind, okay, we've been transferring this for a couple of years. We're just gonna have to change our line item. So I do that. And also then I'll have input from the auditor. We're working on a financial statement that's almost complete. We look at our surplus, our rateables and so forth, because I have all the calculations for a penny. What was last year, this year, what affects everything. So then what I do, I give mayor and council and administrator a copy of everything in the budget worksheet that I always give mayor and council. It's pretty thick with all the debt service and so forth. And then my update is I'm keeping on state monitor up to date on everything. It's been some trying times. I'm a little behind where I should be, but there's nothing I can do about that. So I'm doing the best. He's aware of everything, and he's going to come down. Either it's going to be on the 15th or 17th. We have to confirm it, just for a framework of everything, how we're doing, where we're at, how we're doing. We'll have the budget by the 31st with mayor and council's input. The transitional aid application will be done by the 1st. So what I like to do is get everything together as a base figure. Like I know where we're at now. Now let's get everybody in. What do we want? But like he said, get all the information as soon as possible. The wish list as soon as possible, because that always helps us. Then I can plug in figures. This could do this to this. It's going to change right here and so forth.
You're talking about the mechanics.
Yes.
And I understand that. After the mechanics of it and the fixed costs, there's a portion that gets distributed to buildings and grounds.
Yes,
And recreation. And that's basically the part that I think that we have input on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because that's more discretionary as to how you split that up. I mean, you can't do anything about utility costs.
Right.
That's gonna be what it is.
Yeah, salaries and
wages.
On and on.
Right.
And I
Yes.
understand you have the mechanics
Yeah.
covered. But as each committee and each department, we should have a say as to how the rest of that is.
Oh,
split up
absolutely.
And what that amount is gonna be
Right.
and how we're gonna spend it.
Right.
And that's the part that I think that we need the budget meeting on.
Oh, yeah.
Because you
definitely
have,
do to have a budget
you have
meeting.
the transfers, the debt service
Yes.
and all that under your control. And I
So should
understand that.
this meeting be set up before your meeting with the state monitor or after?
I would say after.
Okay.
I mean, I would say after. And then with the mechanics I do, when I present it to mayor and council, you see that spreadsheet, you can look at each of your line items. You can see last year's budget, what was transferred out or what was transferred in. Then when you see, okay, 2022, what I want to do with that, you know what I mean? So that gives you a good
How much
base.
you went and put in
Right.
housing versus
Right.
recreation
Right.
versus
Yeah.
capital improvements and buildings, grounds. And so, and that's the part that I think that we all need input into.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, like I said, I always do the base, I try to get as much information, the best analysis for mayor and council to make their decisions, to put any of their inputs in, because that way I can change, okay? You can ask me, well, if I need 10,000 for this, what's it gonna do for the penny? You know, I wanna get to that point that I know that, so now the computer here, and now you can brainstorm what's gonna go here. what's gonna
So
go
that's
there.
the part that we have to sketch.
Right,
And that will be scheduled after your meeting. with
yes,
The state
yes,
monitor.
yes,
Okay.
And it
But
it
before
may take a
then,
couple.
yeah.
before then, you'll disseminate that
Oh,
information to
yeah.
everybody. And
So
then
I'm working on
everybody
that, like I
has
said, I'm
an
working
opportunity to
on
look
that,
at
and,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so then, depending on, so in the meantime, everyone get your wish list together. Get it to Steve by, if you can, by next Friday. You'll take that, and you'll put together the temporary budget, right? You'll meet with the state monitor. After your meeting with the state monitor, and Mr. Brown, of course you, then we'll have a budget meeting. And as Councilwoman Scarpese said, it might take a couple, so we might want to kind of,
And just like everything's also predicated on the state aid figure. You
Okay.
know, what we see last year, you know what I mean? So that's why we have a base bill going.
Right,
then-
how do we define how?
Yes.
Yes. What-
okay, and then we'll have a clear understanding of everything.
Okay.
Okay,
So can we,
All right.
since we're on that, our next council meeting is it the 15th?
that's actually a work session, isn't it? Yeah.
Because you know, everything has to be done by the 30th, because we have to turn it into the state.
Well, I actually did it before because
Yeah.
when we finalize, I need a lot of information to do the transition rate application. You know, I need okay, these are gonna be our introduced budget. So as far as the narrative, I can start working on that when I'm done this, you know. I'm working on.
What's it, we need a date, what's the latest date council could have a meeting to approve the budget?
The latest date to introduce the budget is the 31st, but we should know prior to that, everybody's in agreement with these appropriations, because I need that to do the application. Understand what I'm saying?
So would we have a special meeting?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, if something like that, have a special meeting just to introduce the budget.
Okay. We could do that.
I think we did that last year. Remember the timelines are kind of crazy?
Sure, go ahead.
Can we make that the work session?
But that's the 15th.
I mean, do we have anything else on the agenda for that?
Well, what I was thinking is, if we need more than one, the work session would be the first one.
Yeah.
And then if we need another one afterwards, then we'll do another one afterwards, and then we'll do a special meeting to adopt it.
Yes, that should be like a 5-minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, all right. So we've got our motion to adopt, which was by Council President Martin, and then we seconded by Councilwoman Mency. Madam Clerk, can you do roll call? Yeah. Hold on. See who that was. Okay, I think we're good now. All right.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Council President Martin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Yes.
Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirm, motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Next ordinance for first reading is an ordinance amending section 85 of the Code of the Borough of Pennsgrove, which that actually is amending the zoning fees to increase the zoning application fees from $10 to $25. That's what this ordinance is for. May I have a motion to adopt by title
Motion to
only?
adopt by title only.
Thank you, Councilwoman Worley. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, can you do roll call, please?
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
President Martin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Yes.
Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirm, motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, moving to committee reports. First on the agenda is buildings and grounds. Councilwoman
Good
Worley.
evening, Mayor and Council. How are you guys? I don't have much tonight, but I do want to say thank you to those who went out and put the lock on the fire hall, got the window fixed, and I believe they got the oil spill picked up as well. So that's all I do have for today, and I just want to thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Worley. Next up, General Government, Council President Martin.
Good evening, everyone. I have a very short report. We are still in the process of hiring an administrative clerk. Also, we're still working on the employee evaluation, the evaluation process, sorry about that. And then finally, as we know now, the mission statement has been completed and passed this evening. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Council President Martin. Next up, Housing, Zoning, and Planning, Councilman Rambo.
Mayor and council, Sean, we don't really have anything, right?
Did you get the paper? The paper I gave you.
Okay, I thought we had more. The only thing I have to comment is the auction for the sale of the properties have been moved to March 15th to the 17th. There is going to be info at a session on 3/3 tomorrow in the courtroom here, 11 to 1 p.m. And it'll be recorded. I guess is that just open to the public?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I just want clarity. The date is the 15th to the 17th or this?
So this is why it sounds weird because.
So, thank you. That's all I just needed the date. I thought I heard 15.
Who was that?
No, Mr. Stevens?
That's okay. That's
No,
my
that- so I would highly recommend if anyone's interested in the auction, go to MaxFan's website and look at the information, but the confusion on the date may just be because the auction for non-conforming lots and non-conforming lots, the deadline for when the auction ends is different. So it opens the 15th, but you'll see it on there and you'll see it. And then the information session will go over that. I'm also going to record it in English and in Spanish
The session for tomorrow?
for tomorrow. So and we'll share it on the mayor's Facebook page and the borough's website for those that are interested.
What it says is off his website,
Thank you.
because I signed up for it. Structures, May 17th,
March.
I would say March. Online auction bidding concludes. Structures, March 17th, 11 a.m. Lots, March 17th, at 1 p.m. Non-conforming lots for neighbors only, March 18th at 11 a.m. That's when it ends. It didn't say when it started. Yeah, that just says when it ends.
Is the final list available?
Yeah.
The final list of properties?
Mhm.
Well, there almost is no such thing as a final list. The list,
He did say it was fluid.
it's fluid. Yeah. So what you see today may not be what you see on the 15th.
Well, who's making that decision?
What happens is as the list gets out and people see things, because in the previous administration, title searches weren't done on certain properties, we find new information, people come by, people call, people tell Rich on the street, we research it, I talk to our tax collector.
So is it removals? Basically.
It would be, yeah, no
removals?
additions from this
Because I
point.
saw additions of properties on Main Street and Virginia Avenue.
Right, so I'll get,
Which, initially, I thought that we were leaving the main drags open so we could kind of be selective as to what goes there.
You're
yes.
gonna go over that in your report, or do you want to address?
Yeah, I'll just address it right
Okay.
now. You're absolutely right. So, what was your, oh gosh, I wanted to address your first one.
Out of hand.
Oh.
Who is that?
This-
Mr. Davis, hold your comments until public session, okay? Just don't forget what you want to ask, okay? And we'll come back to it, okay?
I think for one thing, I'm 100% sure nothing will be added at this point. It is possible that something is taken away. On your point on the two properties that were added, what happened was there's one particular lot that several people from the time I started, all right, let me say this. My first week, Mayor Thomas and Mr. Lab had already sent me, I opened my inbox and had like 20 emails in there. I probably got some from Ms. Mincy too. One of the things that happened from April of 2021 is that people have done what they've traditionally done over years, which is come to this building, knock on the door and say, hey, I want to borough-owned property. What we were telling them at the time is that we will have a process for this, for how you do it. At this point in time, the folks that are interested in those properties are saying, hey, I want to buy a property. As Mr. Tarver has explained in the past, the strategy that should make us all the most comfortable is having an open and fair process for folks that want a borough-owned property. There are different versions of what an open and fair process can look like, but because we're so close to the auction is definitely an open and fair process because everybody gets a chance to obviously put their bid in. Now, the lot let me be very clear. Where are we? So if you're going down Virginia Avenue, from this way, so you're going south on Virginia Avenue, on your left, you have where Advanced Auto Parts is building right now. And then the lot right next to that, which has a tributary that's going through it right behind the apartment complex, is a borough-owned lot.
Right or the left?
To the, if you're looking at it, to the right of it, but it's the lot directly south of it.
So the empty lot to the right of where it's gonna be?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the one that was added to the list. And that was added specifically because we had at least 3 soft offers of interest on those lots. Across the street from there, we also have lots right next to the car place. Those are not on the list because that is the only one. It's the largest vacant lot in Penn's Grove outside of the waterfront, and we own it. And that means because we have as a critical issue the need for a grocery store, that's the only place that has the square footage to fit a grocery store, and that will not be on the auction list. That would be a direct, that will come from, it will still be open and fair process, but that's something that will come directly to council.
We can
That's right.
direct
Yes.
what it's gonna be because it's in the redevelopment zone. What about that
Right.
lot? That could just be anything?
Which one? The
Right
one
next to
on Virginia?
the auto store.
No, it fits within the master plan and it fits within the redevelopment zone. It's probably not appropriate in open session for me to say who's interested in a lot.
No,
But,
I don't want to.
Okay, yeah, it's retail. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it will not be apartment complexes, it will not be residential,
No,
it
that's-
will not be anything like that.
I can't say what it will ever be or not be, but that's not what the offers are for.
That's not what, no.
Okay,
I'm just,
because
yeah, that's
As
not.
we put properties up in the commercial zone, if we don't vet the people.
Yeah.
We can't control our redevelopment zone.
Right. So what would likely happen is, it's gonna be a busy March. So when the auction is done, we're gonna immediately get a list of who the top bidders were on all of the properties, right? So you're gonna be able to look to see who that top bidder was for that property. And maybe it's somebody that we already know because they've already reached out to us to have interest in it. And then there's nothing that prevents us from having a conversation with them. And then at some point in the April meeting, council's going to approve all bidders for all of those properties. So if you really dislike what you got, or you thought the amount was incredibly low, let's say the highest, I don't think this will happen. Let's just say the highest bidder was $4,000. You're like, we can definitely do better than that. We're gonna go in a different direction. You know, then you have the power to, you would obviously, as a council, have the power to reject that bid.
Now, there's another property on Main Street.
That was an error. So that is a borough-owned property that people also have interest on. And I'm gonna take responsibility for that mistake. When you look at the list of borough-owned properties, this is, you're specifically referring to the bank that's on the corner over here. What do you always call it? The Garden Cafe, because that's what it says.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, yeah.
People's National Bank.
Yeah, I always hear it's different.
One South Broad.
So 1 South Broad, it's block 66, lot 9. I've now memorized this. When you look at borough-owned properties, it's listed. It's listed. After further review, I got the list of properties that are included in the scattered sites lawsuit, and it's on there. Now, for some reason, this is a tax assessor issue. I mean, not that it was a problem, but That's the only one of all the scattered sites, that's the only one that's listed as borough owned, whereas the rest are still in the name under scattered sites. So there was a little bit confusion.
So
with
that's
that.
coming off. That's
Yes,
coming off.
it's actually already off.
That should be a restaurant, actually.
Okay, does so that answers your questions?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and then I just wanted to add the reason, Max Span said that this is a fluid list. He was giving us examples of all the other municipalities that he's worked with. As you put up, a list of properties, you start learning stuff about those properties. And then you're like, oh my God, you gotta take
I
this
wanted
off.
to know it was taking things off rather than putting things
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, taking them off.
And I have one more question. Mr. Schwartz was here at the last meeting.
I heard.
Is his property on or off the list?
So to be clear, let me put it this way,
I don't need an explanation about how it got there. I just, yes or no.
Well, for one,
on or off.
it's absolutely borough-owned property. Let's be clear on that. It's absolutely borough-owned property.
I know, it went through 4.
And there is no problem. There is, and you ask Mr. Span this all the time, it is not uncommon for a property to be sold from party A to party B with someone living in that property. It does happen. It is
I just on or off. That, I mean, we don't need to go through the history.
Off.
Just, it's off.
off, yeah.
Because I think that has a potential to be a problem. Learning more about it, it has a potential to be a problem. So let's not complicate the problem.
But, which is why it's off, right?
Right, so, okay. We don't have to go through all the details of his.
And let me also say, what I was told was said at the meeting was that would there, like, I just want to be very clear. I absolutely understand. Like, I am in no position to offer borough-owned property to anybody at any amount because that's not what I do. So
It still has potential. So
Yeah.
that's all right. I didn't want to complicate something that didn't need to be complicated for minimal benefit to us.
Another thing that Mr. Span said today was that he's had, just to give everybody an update, he's had 170 people pre-register for the auction. And he also said that he sent letters out to the adjoining property owners for non-conforming lots. And he's gotten calls for those lots, so that's good. So this, even having this auction kind of helps us shore up what we have and what belongs to who, and straighten out titles and straighten out deeds. And it's a whole messy process, but I think having this auction did shine a light on a lot of things that were left undone or kind of confused, So anybody that wants to attend the seminar tomorrow, I strongly recommend, if you can, that you attend. And as Mr. Rambo, Councilman Rambo mentioned, it's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And as Mr. Brown also indicated, it will be recorded and it will be shared on the Borough of Penns Grove Facebook page. And then I'll also share it on my mayor page as well on Facebook, so that people, and we'll also put it on the website too, the Borough website, so that people can review it afterwards in their own time.
Mayor, just as of tonight, it's 5:50. One South Broad is still on there.
551 South Broad.
No, I said as of 5:50 tonight, that's when they sent the email. They hadn't taken it off yet.
Okay.
It might take 48 hours for you to actually see it on the website.
Yeah. So can I just ask this one thing?
Sure.
The next time, when we do this, Mr. Brown, it would be nice if we knew what was going on with the lot on Virginia Avenue. Because when you put it on there, I sent out an email that you didn't respond to, because I had some concerns about it. So if you'd have shot the email and just said what you just said now, that would have been fine. But we as council, we don't want to give away our prime, really. We want to show that we can bring something to town that we need in the town. And my concern was people coming in bidding on stuff, and what were they gonna put there? But now you just said retail, that's fine. But see, we didn't know that.
Thank you.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to recreation. Councilman Carter.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Recreation Department or Committee, we met last month on the first Friday of February. Basically to just discuss plans throughout the year. on different things that we wanted to do this year. Once again, we will be meeting every first Friday of every month of this year. If you're on the Recreation Committee, this is your notice. We will send out emails regarding that also, or text messages, but we will meet every first Friday. Our next meeting will be this Friday coming at 7 p.m. as every month, to just continue to discuss things going forward. Our first meeting was very successful. Discuss things for Easter coming up, Easter egg hunt, etc. Not to go into too much detail, but I don't really have anything to present other than that I can think of. But just another announcement, our next meeting will be this Friday at 7 p.m. Zoom link will be sent out shortly. Thank you.
And Councilman Carter, I think it's 2 residents that reached out to me that said that they want to be a part of recreation.
No problem.
I think it's good that we have so many people helping us on recreation because we have so many activities this year. And sometimes we need volunteers, like we're gonna have a food giveaway pretty soon and we're gonna need like 50 volunteers on deck.
Correct.
So I think it's good that we have people who wanna, volunteer and help out. So I just wanted to let you know that, and I'll send you that information before you, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I did forget to mention. We are having a food drive March 19th. This month, March 19th. We need as many people as possible. We have 5,000 pounds of food to give away.
It's no longer 80,000 pounds.
No, matter of fact, I think it's what, is it 50,000? Yeah, 50,000 pounds to give away. We're going to be doing, did we decide at these,
I think we need to work those details out.
Okay.
We can, then we'll share it with everybody. So that you
Right now, we're
know.
just still looking for volunteers, but like I said, there's plenty of food. We don't want to throw it away. They're bringing it, we can't take it. So you don't have to be a Pennsville resident. If you need food, whether you got food, don't got food, this isn't just for the less fortunate. It's for whoever wants food. So come out, get it. You're more than welcome to come get it. No matter how much you make or how little you make, it's for everybody. Cornish Point, Pennsville, Town, Salem, Pennsville, come get it because we can't take it. We don't want to throw it in the trash. So 50,000 pounds, you're correct. So come get it. Produce, cheese, fruit, vegetables, all the above. Come get it March 19th. Location will be given out very, very soon. Thank you.
Sunday? That's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday, the 19th.
Thank you. I think 50,000 pounds. Is it 80,000? Okay, thank you, Councilman Carter.
I'm sorry. I did want to announce also, the high school is playing tomorrow. It's something that's to do with recreation, but it's the youth. So they do have a playoff game tomorrow in Paulsboro. If you are free to go, it starts at 6 p.m. Tickets go on sale for Pennsville residents at 5 p.m. at Paulsboro High School. There is a certain amount of tickets that they have. So first come, first serve for Pennsville residents. If you want to go to the game, once again, Paulsboro versus Pennsville, second round playoff at Paulsboro High School. Tickets go on sale at 5. Game starts at 6. That'll be all.
Thank you. I have a question for you. Mr. Carter, I don't know how much work that would be, but do you think that you could kind of get a pulse on all of the sports at the high school? Because I want to support the soccer players and the band and, because we kind of tend to concentrate on basketball and football because that's pretty much what everybody pays attention to, especially if you're a football and basketball person. So.
Right. I got you. Yeah, I'll look into everybody's schedule if anybody's in the playoffs or games coming up and try to announce that every meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving to Public Works, Councilwoman Scarpese.
Well, we have some good news. The county has consented to help us with our drainage issues. And I think that they've determined that we really don't have to apply to DEP because we fall under their permits. And the only question is when they can get to us. So they work up until April on drainage problems. And then from April to the fall, they work on mosquito control. From the fall on, it'll be drainage issues again. So I have my contact. They consented to work on Strong's Lane and Mill Street. Delaware Avenue really doesn't have anything that they can help us with because the drain is all underground. But those two have above ground and underground. So they can jet our pipes and they can cut back the vegetation. And if the ditches have too much silt, they can dig them out to a certain level. Okay. So that project is moving. It is going to be no cost to the borough. The only cost that we may incur is for them to transport the equipment to our borough. So it'll be really minimal because the last stop that the equipment will be at is on Plant Road. So we're talking about less than 2 miles, a mile, something like that.
Okay.
So we're really lucky with that. And it really was something that they kind of were waiting for us to ask for.
Oh, okay.
It's a service they provide us.
Oh. Would've been nice if they would have kind of.
Well, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Well, we know now. So.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you for that. Is there anything else?
No, that's all.
Thank you. All right, public safety, Councilwoman Minnie.
Thank you, Mayor. What I have is, I have been talking with Red Cross. So we have a couple of things we're trying to line up here. The first thing is smoke alarms. They're giving away free smoke alarms, free. She said they will install in every room except for the bathroom and the kitchen. All you have to do is call. So
Why accept the bathroom in the kitchen?
The answer is because smoke detectors don't actually detect smoke, they detect a rapid change in temperature. In the kitchen and bathroom.
That makes sense, okay. I'm just curious.
I don't know. So, look, maybe we could also say. Anyway, those of you who are around my age, I'm gonna tell you what I explained to a lady today. On the flyer, it has a phone number. You can do the email or the phone number. When you do the phone number, for us older folks, there's this new thing called Google Assist. The lady called it and she called me back and she said, I don't know what Google is. I said, what? So I was lost too. It's their answering service.
Okay.
So when you call it, just leave a message and they'll get back with you. Just leave your name and number. Because I had to call the girl and ask her, what is that?
Okay.
So I made some flyers up to take out, but also it's gonna be on the website and I'm gonna post them around. But she did say, you call and they will get them out. So I had some people already interested in it. The next thing we're working on, which may interfere with Mr. Carter's Easter egg hunt.
God first. Say God
God
first.
first. We're trying to do a CPR class. It's called, it's good, hands only. And it's free. They have another one where you can get certified. I didn't call it yet. You gotta pay for that. She told me she thought it was around $80. So I'm gonna call because I had a couple of people want to be certified. That's on y'all. But the hands-free one, Mr. Carter, the only date she had was the 16th. That's why I asked you, when was your thing? But it's in it.
16th, April 16th?
Yeah, she was still in April. But I gotta find out from the community center. They told me we can have it, but I make sure the date is right with them. So we're gonna try to do that one. And then we wanted to, in the summer, well, she gave me 2 dates. One's a Friday night and one's a Saturday. Then in the summer, we're gonna try to do something for the kids to get the kids certified also.
That's good.
So we're trying to work with them. But the smoke detectors, please call. I told her I'm gonna call myself, okay, if I'm first on the list. But she said at every room, they will come and do. And we have so many seniors that When I was talking to somebody today, they was lining up their mom and their dad, and they were gonna call it. We forget about the seniors who haven't checked their smoke detectors in a while. And these are the kind you can't take the batteries out.
Okay.
You can't take the batteries out. So, everybody, please sign up to get smoke.
Mincy, that flyer
Yes.
will be in Spanish as well, correct?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes. I did talk to her. She told me she's gonna get it done in Spanish, but when I talked to Tracy today, Tracy said she may be able to translate it and put it on the website earlier than waiting for them. So, yeah, we're getting it in both languages also.
When you get that, can I also get a copy in Spanish? Because I did take one and had it put on Healthcare Commons website. So if I can get the one in Spanish, I'll have that uploaded on their website as well.
Yes, ma'am. And she said she is so excited to be able to get to work with us because she don't get a lot of the towns that want to do it. Like, hey, it's a free. I got a lot of rooms. I'll take them. So that's all I have for now.
Let me know what time they want to do that CPR thing, because if we can still do both of them and work around.
The first one, she wanted to start at 11. It's only a half an hour for each one.
Yeah, there's no issue.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's just going around people's houses, so people complain, so it should interfere with what.
No, this one.
No, for the
Oh, it's not the-
Yeah.
no, this one is gonna be at one place. She wants to do it. This is the date she had.
Right.
Cause the one I talked to, she's the one to do it. It's at 11 and the other one will be at 12:30. But I have to make sure the place can do it first, because we may not even have it that Saturday.
Okay.
But I'll let you know by the next meeting for sure.
All right.
You, the flyers for both of those, for the Red Cross and for CPR, you're gonna make sure.
Yeah, she's gonna do the one for it, so we get the date together. And on that, so I talked to her and she said she wanted to put me in as point of contact for the CPR. Then I realized that our phone line, when you call in, just in case y'all didn't know, you can call to the borough to talk to any council person, hit 8 and then tell you the number. I suggest you don't do it yet, because it's still got 2 years ago. I went in there today to check. Yeah.
It's being fixed, we know.
Yeah, well, Tracy, we talked about it today, but also if you check she said if anybody need help, she would help us, because my message, I called it to see how it worked. My message went right to trash and went right in spam. So that's gotta be fixed too. Yeah. But yeah, we will have, they do the, Red Cross does the flyers, so they'll do the flyers.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving to departmental reports. Business Administrator report, Mr. Brown.
Every problem's been solved. Just kidding. All right. Yeah. This first one, no one really has a preview to this, but all right. So I talked to council and sent you in the mayor and sent you an email before about that the borough, we had to upgrade both our hardware and our software. In terms of our hardware, I now have a list of the laptops for the police cars, the police vehicles, for the police department, and then for all staff. Every staff member has told me, and we've checked and verified if they need an updated hard drive or laptop. We got 3 quotes, as we're required to do because of the amount, and we're looking at spending approximately $21,000 on upgrading the technology. That might seem, if it seems to be an extreme number, I'll give you a few reasons why. One, the first quote we got, which I don't want to say who the company was, but the first quote we got, the numbers are extraordinarily high for the tech. And actually the third quote was too. We're more than likely going to be getting this from Staples, because they had the best price and they're a state vendor for the borough as well. Tracy Thompson and we went through the recommendations, we looked at the tech, we looked at the needs that the staff have, and what the technology offers. If you spend too little, so if you get a computer that doesn't have enough memory, then especially for the police department, which are required to run multiple programs simultaneously, they'll end up having the same problem they have now, which is that their computers at times crash. The computer Casey Karma used, the computer Bob Frank uses, and the computer the tax assessor uses are really outdated. Like it's one of those things where you're pushing a button and it just freezes before it moves on to the next thing. When I told, I'm gonna act like he's not sitting right next to me. When I told Steve Ladd the amount, he threatened to punch me in the face. No, I'm just kidding. When I told Steve Ladd the amount, he suggested, and I agree that because, you know, we had this conversation about the budget earlier. I'm gonna say what we all know, but it's worth saying out loud. Most of our budget is salaries and wages. And this is true for, you know, for any government. And if you think about how much we collect and the fact and how we're relying on state aid, that doesn't leave a lot of room for other stuff. So when you have to do with this technology upgrade, this is ideally we would be doing it piecemeal. Manny needs a new computer, 1 year she gets it. You know, Rich needs a new computer, the next year he gets it. But because we haven't, because of the cost, we haven't done it. So we do have a solution. If you remember, we got the American Recovery Funds into two pots, and it's approximately 270,000. Most of that money for 2021 has been spent or is allocated and is in the process of being spent. And some of that money was specifically set aside for hardware and software. However, when you add up the amount, if you look at the spreadsheet that you were sent months ago, it adds up to around $9,000, which leaves us, what's 21 minus 9? Which leaves us, yeah, 11, right.
Wow.
$11,000. Yes, I'm trying to, I was going to see, thanks, Rambo. So I would like tonight for, we don't need a formal vote, although you can do it if you want, but I would just like for council permission to use 2022 American Recovery Funds to finish to fill in the rest of the gap, to get the hardware and the software as well. Next week, it's going to be all about the hardware. We're going to get the order in. We're going to get the computers in, and then work with Green Tech to make sure they're installed and the software and stuff is transferred. And then immediately after that, I want to be able to get the next set of software in. Now, this came up. By the time this came up in the meeting a couple of weeks ago, I was really on my last leg. All praises to God, I'm feeling a lot better. And I heard something I really couldn't believe it because of how many times this has been discussed. Not all software is the same. Not all software does the same thing. Not all software fulfills the needs that we have in the borough. This is a strength area of mine. I was a consultant for small businesses in nonprofits before I worked here, and I hooked them up in the best software all the time. I'm comfortable in this space. I'm aware of it. As I said before, Ms. Renner and I, we spent 3 hours with the company. I asked them every question under the sun not because what's been said several times. There's this company, and it does basically the company that was mentioned. I won't say their name. They specifically do one thing really good, and that's permits. Which, by the way, we don't even manage in Fensgrove. DCA does that for us. So we have no need for that software. And the price is really high. The software that we are recommending and that we will have installed, SDL, is in over half the municipalities in New Jersey already, and specifically department by department allows us to manage things that happen. I've had to do I've had to deal with COs in the absence of an inspector in the last few weeks, and it's astonishing how slow the computer is, how much we rely on paper, and how time consuming that is because we don't have the software. Anybody, if you go to Google and type in SDL, which is, I think it's for spatial data logic, you can look at it. I can send you some videos to see what it does. I want, if you think of a house, I'll just make up an address, one Main Street. Code enforcement should be able to know what violations have previously existed. Housing should be able to know when a CO is issued. Those departments don't necessarily need to see what the police have done, but the police probably need to see what those departments have done. So all this stuff is centralized. I mean, the point that Ms. Carpesi brought up earlier about the, about the property that went on the list. Well, if we had better software and we had a better process of tracking this stuff, we would have avoided that situation. So anyway, if you could just, if I could get a consensus for the American Recovery Funds to compensate the gap, and I'll send you all the details and the specifics in an email within the next few days so that you can see it.
There's no place else you can shave it off of 21?
I will say, I can look at the ordinance that we have that we did a couple years ago for computer upware and software upgrades. I'm not sure how much is in that. I would have to look. So let me investigate that.
But I'm saying 21 hasn't all been spent yet.
No,
from that.
no.
So if it hasn't all been spent yet.
It's kind of hard to, if it's be spent this year, I can't spend against 2020's budget, but since the American Recovery Fund is a grant, I can do that. But if it's under operating, if it's purchased in 2022, I cannot charge it against a 2021 appropriation. That's the only thing. But if it's a grant, you can. Grants, it doesn't matter what year. I can spend against a 2015 grant in 2022, but I cannot charge anything against a 2021 budget as person 2022 for the regular operating budget, not including capital. We're looking at ordinance, like the capital ordinance, and see when we have some money left in there that can help out. So,
And I know that you want that. I know that you said that you wanted that money reserved for the pump. We are, and I talked to Carolyn about this. We are, I'll say at this point, 80% sure that we'll have a new pot of money coming in from the infrastructure money that, if need be, can be used towards that.
I haven't talked to Carolyn in a while, so I haven't gotten an update from her.
Oh, that's my report. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The abandoned property ordinance. We had some money come in there. I know it's not a lot. But just saying, because you said in case he's off that computer.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have used that money instead of some of the grant money if we had that in there.
we'll have to check that. We'll set that. I would have to check that since it's the
Because I
first
know-
year that we can do it.
I know, was it 80% of it has to be used for office or something like that? I know you can't use it.
I just have to, check on the actual requirements
Okay,
for that.
okay.
All right,
Mr. Brown.
two other, yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Quick question for you. For the upgrades, would that include upgrading at the fire hall as well?
You mean upgrading their oh, who did that? Thanks, Rich. You mean upgrading their tech?
Yes.
Yes, if yes.
Awesome. Thank
I
you.
would, you know what, I'm glad you, yeah, I'll reach out to them and see, when I had the budget conversation and see what their needs are. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll find out. And if need be, yeah, that will be added.
Thank you.
You have anything further?
Yes, inspections. So in the absence of a housing inspector, which council approved tonight, and the new one will start Monday. Rich Rivera's done a few, I've done a few, Erica's done a few, because we didn't want people delayed in moving into a place, and no fault of their own. In that, I see that there's some changes that we as administration will end up recommending to council. We need to tighten up some of our ordinances. The police department and I say this, Mr. Tarver and I, sometimes I have to literally, I'm on the phone with him, I'm reading what the ordinance says to see what powers it is. We have some powers that only the police have and no one else can technically do it. Give you an example, an easy one, dog poop. Right now, only the police can cite somebody for letting their dog poop on the sidewalk. There are dozens of these situations. So, Mr. Rambo, I'll talk to you in the Housing and Zoning Committee meeting about it. We also, I think, need to use the newsletter and other opportunities to communicate to both tenants and landlords on what their responsibilities are. And I'm going to say this just as a guy who's been an advocate for poor people for a long time. Some of these landlords in Pennsboro are great. These properties look really nice. I've heard stories in the past, some of the inspections I've done, and I told these people, I got other stuff going on. This is not my main thing. I'm already working 60 hours a week. And these houses are not good, and they try to talk over you. They tell you, they're telling you you're seeing something that you don't, they're telling me I'm not seeing what I'm actually seeing. They go from being extremely charismatic and almost bribing me to then being snippy and rude when they see it's not gonna pass. But we as a borough have an ethical, moral, and legal responsibility to these tenants to do our very best to make sure that the landlords are following the rules. The homeowners, those properties are typically in a different shape. On the point that you talked about with the Abandoned Properties Act, I might as well say this on our new house inspector's first week. I've already identified the training that she will sit through. So some of her time will be out in the streets because she does have experience, but other times will be to get the training. So she'll have a certificate more than likely within a month, where she truly be an expert on this to make sure that the residents are getting the best service that they can. The staffing issues that we've had have created problems for people. We've been slow to get certain things done for people because we haven't had the staffing. This is reflective of a national crisis. Mr. Director Rivera is going to talk about this from the police perspective. We do get resumes that come in, and we have to balance the need to hire a person versus is this person trainable, coachable, or having the skills, and we're working through that. And I can tell you more specifics in a either in closed session or in a more intimate setting about what some of those challenges are. And that's it.
I got a question. Yeah. Remember you said the construction office, when are they coming back to the borough?
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you asked this. They're starting last week. They're going to be here every Thursday. Is it? I think it's 11. I think. Don't quote me on this time. I think it's 11 to 1. 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Okay. All right. Yeah, because they're in the campus coming. Yeah. 1 to 3, right at this table. They'll be here, which means for you and anyone in the public. Okay. Yeah. For you and anyone in the public, that means if you need a construction permit, electrical permit, plumbing permit, or a fire permit, you get your packet from downstairs, you fill it out. Normally it's the contractor that does it, puts it in the mailbox, or you can physically bring it here on a Thursday and get your whatever scheduled immediately. Let me also say, just based off a lot of feedback or whatever, me and the tax. So when the permit is issued, they leave a yellow slip and they give it to the tax collector. The tax collector uses that information to see if there needs to be a reevaluation of the value of the property for taxes.
Like if they're adding a porch or a deck
Exactly.
or a garage.
Exactly, because your taxes might go up in that case. And us not having, and them not working for DCA, not being on staff, I didn't have any access to that information. So what I'm doing now is, for now on, we're going to get a copy of that permit as well. And the main reason is because, I think all of us know it, there are contractors all the time doing work in Pennsboro that without a permit. And let me be clear, the problem that makes is if you're taking shortcuts, if you're or whatever, people die over stuff like that. People's properties get messed up. Even some of the houses I've looked at, I know good and well that work that wasn't done properly. All you have to do is look right at it and tell that it wasn't done within the UCC commercial code as it should have been. So we're always trying to improve how we're doing things, but we're going to keep a watchful eye on that. So that if you say, hey, I see this work going on here, do they have a permit? Right now I have to email DCA, it might take 4 or 5 days to get a response. I would, me or whoever would be able to know immediately. Not immediately, but within a few. Looking at who got a permit.
I have 2 questions myself.
Yes.
One would be, what's the status on the work going on at IGA as far as starting to move the buildings? And 2, is the playground done at Barber Park or Borough Avenue Park?
Okay.
Or did they start that back up again?
Sure. So IGA, I was actually there the other day talking to them about this. The company was waiting for permits from us, well, not a permit. They're waiting for a signature from us The company is is managing this. As far as I know, let me back up a little bit. A month ago, they needed a signature. They needed to do a few things. I pushed that and they got the signatures. They got everything they need. I said, well, once you get your signatures, how many months will it take for you to start? He said, oh, months. Oh, no. Once we get everything, we're going to start almost immediately. So I suspect that when you look at IGA to the left, that lot, that like grassy lot to the left, you should see construction on there within a matter of weeks. If that's the case, that gives IGA about that's going to probably give them about 6 more months to be open, which they're aware of. I talked to the son the other day, and he told me that they are still trying to be creative and figure out ways to shrink their footprint and at least be able to sell fresh fruits and vegetables and some of their stuff, but not the deli and stuff like that. But if there's a way, and they're trying to figure that out now too. To answer your second question on Barbara Avenue Park, the only thing that the engineer was waiting for was the weather to get better, because most of the work you can't do in the cold. So we should expect that work at Barbara Avenue Park to actually start within the next few weeks. It's like purchase orders have to go through. Unfortunately, sometimes if people don't accept a purchase order, we're going to have to get council to approve the bill first, and then things like that. But you will see that, and then probably by the middle of this month, I'll be able to give Ms. Worley and the Building and Grounds Committee's regular updates on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving to the finance officer report.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mayor. I went through everything concerning the budget, the updates, the spreadsheets, and timeframes. So as you get more involved, do more calculations with the student mayor, council, administrator. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Who's directing? Mr. Rivera, you have the floor.
You got it.
You got it.
I just wanted to button up on a few things that Mr. Brown had brought up regarding the COs. It got to the point where things were so backed up, where he was doing pre-screening with the applicants. He'd call them on the phone, ask if they were ready because he had the application on his desk, and then ask them several questions that were pertinent to the actual application. Yes, we're ready. Yes, we're ready. Come on over. Okay, how about right now? Yeah, we're ready. Come on over. And the folks weren't ready. And it's not our everyday folks only in town, but it's also the realtors. While everyone's eager to get this thing, their process done, they have to respect what's necessary and what's required of them. And Mayor, by and large, most of them just weren't ready. So what Mr. Brown was also referring to before, when you're revisiting some of your application fees and your ordinances and your fines and everything, is consider a reinspection fee. Because this becomes very time consuming to repeatedly go out to some of these properties. So, but you brought up a lot of good points. So thank you, Mr. Brown.
Is there like a pre-inspection packet that landlords?
Well, the packet is really good.
It's straightforward.
That predates me, but that CO application is really good. It has all the I don't know who put it together, but it's really good. Like, it doesn't need any changes, and it says everything that it needs to say. But the reinspection, and Casey Carmen told me this, some municipalities, they will they charge for the reinspection because they're sending somebody back out, and we don't.
I thought we put that on. Okay.
They don't charge for the first reinspection, but after.
I was going to say, I thought we was charging for the inspections somewhere in there. But, okay. We should.
The other thing that we're observing as well is people playing games. There was a bathroom that was renovated, and I think you all remember my story about the tub that was in the bedroom. Oh, now I got another toilet. I'm sorry, the toilet that was in the bedroom last time. Yeah, well, I'll tell you later. So now there's a toilet in the shower. So now it's a non-functioning toilet, but they were storing it there so that they could remove it. And this was a contractor. Well, that's so that the inspector can't turn on the water in the shower because you get everything wet there. Well, if you follow the line into the basement, the pipe was cracked. So how are we gonna issue a CO on something where they redid all the piping, they renovated a brand new bathroom, and then we find a cracked pipe? So these are the past tense. Yeah, ED. I think I'm gonna just stick to my report.
Yeah, good.
So. Thank you, Ms. Worley. Trying to help out here. So I wanted to focus on recruitment because a lot of people in town are very eager to see fresh faces on the police department and local faces on it. And we have the ability now to come up with some hard numbers. There's two different methodologies that we're trying to reach a wide pool of candidates. We've gotten applications as far as Colorado for people that want to be police officers. And the two main online portals that we're using is Indeed, which was a paid service. We paid about $120 for that. We had more than 100 people who applied for the job and 0 had certificates. 0. So the numbers that I'm giving to you is things that we had to go through. That's every one of those 100 people that checked off boxes that they had an application, high school diploma. We have to read all 100 resumes and applications to find out that none of them were qualified. That 100 came from 609 click-throughs. So 609 people actually went online, viewed our position. They had the ability to go on our website and look at the application there, and then determine that 100 of them wanted to go back and fill out the actual application. The other one that we're using, which is completely free to the borough, is called policeapp.com. And what that is if the applicants want a job, they have to pay for this service to see where the job openings are. And we're listed, we're featured on the website for New Jersey as an agency that's hiring. And through that process, we've already seen an increase, not only in the people that are applying, but ones that are qualified, because they have to put a copy of the certificate attached to their resume. This also breaks down your demographics, because as a police department, we're required to report annually the diversification of applicants to the Attorney General's office. Now, also be mindful, and I'm in favor of this, despite all this time that this takes, that this application process is free, Mayor. We're not charging people like other towns do. And most of them are just pretty much taking people's money, whether it's $25 or $50 an application, and they're really not going to get any consideration. We're doing it for free. We're vetting all of these candidates. And one of the things that we're striking is that less than 7% of minorities have applied through the police app. So the vast majority of people that are applying, that have the qualification, are males and they're Caucasians. The proof is right here, what the numbers are. And we were talking, and Ms. Mincy and I were talking about this, Mr. Tarbers brought it up, what we're looking to do as far as retaining qualified candidates and police employees. Well, how do we prevent them from going somewhere else? First of all, they're not dissatisfied with the job here because we're asking them about it. It's a matter of them being closer to home. So that means a lot of them live further away. Well, how do we attract them to here? So we offer housing for them, or incentives and things like that. And it's cyclical. So the police department that they have gone to, where we've lost 3 officers, they had a need. They had a deficiency because someone left that department and went elsewhere. And so it just spreads like wildfire through the system. And one of the things that everyone's been considering, and a member of the public have brought it up, is why don't you tie someone into an agreement? So now we hire you, we put you through the academy, we go through the expense, and you're gonna have to give us 2 years or you're gonna have to pay us back. Well, what does that payment look like? Because it's only $2,500 to send you to the academy, but the big chunk of that money is the equipment that we gotta provide to you, the budgeting that Steve has to do to set the money aside, the salary that they're gonna pay you to go to the academy for the 5 months, Then you're talking another 3 months of a field training program after that. So sitting here in the beginning of March, we've already just blown through this whole year. Now you're talking January when you actually have boots on the ground and this individual with no experience has made it through the academy and we have to try them out and then decides that they're going to go somewhere else. You know, that doesn't help us. If you got the money back, we're still in a deficit for the officer. So that's a rationale, so you all know why we're looking for candidates that already have the certificate. It's so that we could avoid that whole year of impasse. So one of the other things we're looking at is sponsoring seats in the academy that people will pay their own way. We're not obligated to them. And there's no risk for us involved. And then if they're successfully make it through there, we'll have a spot for them because we already know based on the current attrition rate that there'll be an opening for them. So that's the other things that we're expecting. I'm sorry?
How about a retention bonus?
If you stay 2 years, we're going to give you a raise?
No, a retention bonus, like Amazon does. You stay so much time, you get.
They're getting an annual increase anyway, and those steps are you're talking anywhere between 9 and 12%. So if you stayed that 2 years, you just got another 20% on top of.
What's all 10%? It's all 10%.
All right, so yeah, 10 and 10 is 20.
So that is basically it.
Which is unheard of in any other field.
We're starting people out in the 40s.
The other issue is, I'm sorry, the other issue is you have to be concerned about contractual obligations and whether or not that would be, doable under the course of the collective bargaining agreement.
I got a question that I just thought of. With all these police departments losing officers, is there any grants anywhere?
Grants to hire?
Yeah, you'd think the state, this thing that we losing a lot of them, you'd think they'd have some grants so we can get some people in. Because they know how this works.
They do, but the thing that, the hard part is retaining them. We can get them in. We have the money set aside. But how are you gonna keep them here? When one officer was up from Central Jersey, he had put in an application 2 years ago. So it's not like he's gonna sit on his couch waiting for that opportunity to come for 2 years. And then it's the town next door to him. So he was already coming here, putting in an hour and 40 minutes on top of his 12-hour shift. It was a 16-hour day for him just to get back and forth to work when he could pick up a job across the street. Same thing, another officer we had, part-timer. He just left last week. He put in an application in another agency 3 years ago and just made it through that process. That's how many individuals had to be vetted, background check, screened, and then put through the academy. It's a very large agency. He wasn't going to sit around and wait. He got jobs. He worked somewhere else and then he came here. We were going to make him full-time, and now that opportunity doesn't exist.
But you don't think that grant would help the people that live closer here? You said some of them are leaving because they're further away. So the ones that are here that I can't afford to pay for it.
Okay, I follow you with that too. We've had local applicants, so everybody knows, living in the square mile, who were, how should we say, less than model citizens. And then we get pushback from people saying, well, why didn't you hire so-and-so? They're from the community. But we can't publish what happened in that background check so that you understand completely why it's not a good fit and it wouldn't be a good idea. And that's not one candidate, Ms. Mincy, that's a bunch.
I don't mean just right here, but less than an hour away.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You know what I mean?
Sure, we could look at that.
Less than, because then with them 12 hours, maybe it won't be as much. I'm just trying to find money for somebody to give us money to pay for this.
And the other thing is, keep in mind, it wasn't us as the borough or the administration that said, you are going to work the 12 hours. The officers chose to work these hours.
Rich, I also think that I like the idea of them paying for their own, for them going to the academy themselves, because I think it will push them even more to want to stay, because I am not trying to spend my money and then I'm not going to work in that place. So I do
Exactly.
like that initiative, that if they pay for themselves, they'll be more likely to want to stay and work through this.
They put some skin in the game. When I went to the
Yeah,
academy, I had to
absolutely.
pay for everything.
Yes,
Everything, the gun, the vest, all of the uniforms. When you go out of pocket $5,000, you want to get something back for that. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I like that idea.
Have we even considered, I mean, maybe we have, but we considered hooking up with, I'm saying hooking up, I don't know the terminology, but with either social services or unemployment. Like sometimes you can go to unemployment and if someone's interested and then they choose to.
That's a good idea. We could explore that. We've gone as far as reaching out to 3 regional police academies saying, tell us who your most recent graduates are, and we're cold calling them. Hey, did you get a job yet? Yes, I got a job. Okay, well, just keep us in mind.
And I meant not only those who have gone through the academy and but maybe someone who's not a police officer, but now they're ready to make a career change.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to high school too.
Yeah.
How many spaces do we have open?
2 minutes.
I think our limit is 16, right? So where we at?
I'm not gonna say where we're at, but we have 3 openings.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And it's a shame, we may have to, I mean, we need the officers immediately, but we may need to really invest our time in looking at even younger kids. Once they get to the high school, you know, they've already have their ideas as to what a police officer is. But sometimes we probably may need to start middle school, to start prime. And I know, you know, we need them now, but that's something that I know one time we had the
Explorers,
and all
yes.
that. We were having a hard time then getting through the explorers, but
Maybe we can restart that. That was, you know, it's a new
and
day.
change the face of it a little bit, you know, where you're actually reaching those kids. Yeah, yeah. Rebrand is good.
And all those are great, and we can pursue them, but the thing is, we're juggling so much at the same time, it's so difficult to keep up. You know, we lost 3 officers that we just hired.
Since July 1st.
Yeah.
It's every profession now.
Yes,
Right
yes,
now.
you're absolutely right.
So,
That's why Jersey's looking to change over to self-serve gas station, because the gas station owners don't have the personnel.
I just told you before we started,
Yep.
everybody's short staffed.
That it, Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, that's enough for me.
Thank you. All right, moving to the fire chief report. Is Chief Adam on? And if he isn't on, is there someone who has his report? Councilwoman Mincy, he didn't know, he didn't answer back.
Maybe we're not in another meeting, so.
I'm not even gonna ask you, Mr. Brown. All right, and Director Rivera, you don't have this, right?
No.
Okay.
We're doing repairs over there, though. I could update you on that. They should be done by tomorrow at the firehouse.
Okay. All right, moving to EMS, Debbie. Moving to the attorney report. Mr. Tarver, you have anything to report?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Just a few things. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I know that most of you are aware that there was discussion of a number of different things that this council and this administration wanted to accomplish. One of the primary things that Councilwoman Mincy has made clear is a peeve of hers that we're going to set as one of the primary goals going forward into 2022 is a reevaluation of our fees as it relates to code enforcement, as it relates to zoning and others. And you see tonight, at least the first step in that, an amendment to our zoning code. But we're taking a comprehensive look at the fee structure for everything from zoning to code enforcement to animal matters to the court matters. So we expect to be able to have a comprehensive reckoning of all those things going forward in a very short time. In addition, one of the things that is also very primary and has been made primary to me by way of Councilwoman Scarpese, Councilman Rambo, and Councilwoman Mincy and others is the Public Works contract. And I want to just let those members of that committee know that I will be providing you with a draft sample amended contract that I think for your will be relevant for your consideration to be able to work off of as we go forward, looking forward into how we're going to structure Public Works in the very near future. I expect at the very next meeting, we will also be having a report as to several contested matters from some of the other attorneys that have been involved in some other matters here, namely the Mr. Rohn, I think, will be providing a report at the next meeting on some of the matters that are important. Other than that, there is no new litigation of any significance, and there is really nothing to report as to the status of old litigation as well. I will, because we are in 2022, be giving you an update at our next regular meeting as to where we stand with the existing litigation. It's the same litigation that was engaged in last year. There's nothing new, but you need to know what the status is of the current litigation. In addition, for those of you who are having council meetings, committee meetings, please let me know when you intend to have those meetings. If you'd like to have me present, I'll do everything I can to be involved and to be present and to answer any of your questions and to be of any assistance. I'm just a phone call away. And thank you for listening to this report. And no, let me just also say I'm not reporting from the tropics here. This is one of my favorite backgrounds here.
I was wondering.
But I thought I would deceive most of you by thinking that we were in a whole different place. But unfortunately, we're just out of state, but not in the tropics. And thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
Did we get a response from Carney's Point about the recycling flyer?
Yes, we did. And you and I, if you don't mind, would you mind calling me right after the meeting? I think you have my cell phone. Because yes, well, tomorrow is fine, and it is a positive response.
Good. That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Tarver.
Thank you.
In the committee meetings,
Yes.
we'd like to have a meeting with Mr. Smith. Do we have to do anything special other than dial him in on the meeting?
I'm sorry, you broke up on my computer.
The engineer.
Yes.
Public Works, we need to speak to Mr. Smith. And is there any issue with dialing him in on the meeting just as we would dial you in?
Well, I'm different than Mr. Smith. I'm the counsel to the municipality. So you have access. You have access to me anytime and anytime you would like at any time of the day or night. So that's a different story. I'm sorry?
There's no legal issue about dialing him in on some of our meetings.
I don't know that there's a legal issue to the extent that the administration can set those terms of how that's done. I certainly feel free to talk about that with you afterward. I think there's always a mechanism for you to have access to individual experts as well.
Just because Public Works has great needs due to the drainage issues and the pumping stations and things like that.
As I understand, and I might be wrong, and the mayor can weigh in, that there's not an issue with having experts consult, but that just needed to go through the administration to be able to set that up. That was my understanding.
I would say whenever any council member wants to invite a professional to your committee meetings, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to Mr. Brown and have him do that. That way, I know we like to pay attention to the bills.
To the
and
bills.
stuff
I
like
understand
that. So that way we can kind of just keep a process, but there's no issue with that, just coordinate through.
I know it's $165 an hour.
I mean,
I'm sorry, how much is that? I'm sorry, Councilwoman, what was that figure? What was that figure that you quoted?
$165 an hour. I totally know. But in order to get grants and things like that, I mean, we do need his input.
Absolutely, absolutely.
TRIAD is free until we get a grant.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tarver.
You're welcome.
So moving to mayoral comments. So usually, everybody, I usually have nice, happy, jovial things to report on. But unfortunately, this is something a little different. I've actually written my statement about this because I wanted to prevent myself from using unsavory words. So I'm going to read this as a statement. We have been able to accomplish some big things over the past 2 years. But you know, whenever you start to do big things, do positive things, get things moving in the right direction, you know, doing things that really help people, you're going to get what our young folks call some haters. And apparently I have a few of them. So people who take every opportunity to tear you down. So my husband and I returned from California, where we buried my husband's grandmother over the weekend. And I find out about an anonymous letter. It was a letter that was sent to registered voters using the voter registration list, talking about Mary Kay James and the sewage authority appointment, and talking about Ken James with the planning board appointment. I think we have a good idea who it is, you know, or where it came from, but I want everybody to know that that is the work of a liar, okay? And I'll read the letter to you. Pensgrovers. The new mayor, Thomas, fired Ken James, the chairman of the Pensgrove Planning Board. She also fired his wife, Mary Kay James, the chairman of the Pensgrove Sewage Authority. Was it because they were lousy, or was it because of the color of their skin? Can you believe they went there? Because of the color of their skin, and was it because they did not cater to her, meaning me? I don't expect anybody, I think everybody on council knows that I pretty much stay out of your way. You know what my expectations are, you know what your expectations are of yourself, so I don't get involved. You know, so I don't require anybody cater to me. I think you can all vouch for that. So they said, ask her why. And it was paid for by the concerned citizens that care about our town. So first of all, we all know that's a fake organization, okay? So as I replied to this letter, to this person, they know who I am and they know where I live, and they also know the work that I do because they can look around town and see things happening. They may not happen as fast as we want them to, but they are happening. And unfortunately, when you're on transitional aid, you have to get everything approved by the state. There's a process for everything. So to me, the person that wrote that anonymous letter, that was a coward. Whoever wrote that letter, I don't know what mechanism they used to get it out, but they may have stamped it, mailed it. They may have had someone go around and stick it in people's mailboxes. And it was only—
It was mail, US mail.
Oh, it was US. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
US
US
mail.
mail. US mail. I guess he got one too. So, you know, there's someone that's hiding behind the name of a fake organization, making false accusations. To me, that's not only a crime to make false accusations about a person like that, it's also an evil tool of an insecure, pathetic, desperate person that has lost their way. So if you have an issue, and that's for everyone, I think everybody knows, if you have any issues, you know, you can reach out to me, you know, concerning anything, my decisions, anything, you can reach out to me, you know, via email. You know, most people post on Facebook, Messenger. whatever. Some people have my number. You know, it may take me a while to get back to you, but you can always ask me why, and I will always be honest and tell you why. So, you know, people can come to a council meeting, whatever. But when you hide your identity, it only proves you have something to hide. And that is the case today. So what they're hiding is the truth. And the truth is, I was elected by white people, Black people, and Hispanic people from Pennsgrove. Something that was very unique in New Jersey, I was elected as an independent. That's something that's very rare, okay? And I was elected as an independent by Democrats, by Republicans, by independents. Since I was elected as mayor, I have appointed people of every ethnicity represented in Pennsgrove. I think everybody who can see that. I know that as a governing body, we may not, you know, agree on 100% of the issues. People can see that, which is a healthy democracy. But at the end of the day, you know, we debate, we negotiate, and we work towards together, you know, to work towards bringing the town forward and using oriented solutions. Now, let me speak directly to the one who wrote this letter. I don't know if they're on the meeting. I don't know. I plan on posting this on Facebook as well. But this is to the one who wants to whine about Mary Kay James, you know, whine about Ken James. First of all, you don't fire an appointment. And the sewage authority appointment is not my appointment, it's council's appointment. I can make a recommendation, but that is council's appointment. The planning board appointment is mine as the mayor. I don't need council's approval for that. So that is an appointment. You don't get fired if you were never hired. So I want to make that very clear. But I want to speak to the race-baiting bigot who sent that letter out. This person is trying to turn us against one another for her or for his own personal gain. And that coward would rather send out an anonymous letter, anonymous mailers, than to stand up like a man or a woman and say whatever it is that they have to say. They don't have the courage or the backbone to put their name on a document. If they were really serious, they would have done that. If they were really serious, they would have came to this council meeting. Again, they know, everybody knows where I live. They could have sent me a message, posted on Facebook like people do, whatever. But they wanted to send out an anonymous letter, which, might I add, we are sick of that. We're sick of that stuff. That dirty politics, the agendas and all that stuff. I'm sick of it. I was sick of it before I ran. I'm sick of it now. And I don't tolerate and I don't participate in anything like that. So, you know, to me, that person does not have a backbone. They're hiding behind a non-existent organization. They even have the audacity to use concerned citizens of Pennsgrove. Like, this is just so, this is something that's continuously done. And it might not even be the same person who did it before. This might be a new person trying to make it look like it was the person who used to do that before. Whoever it is, they don't have any backbone or courage. So, you know, I, for one, I don't have the time for it. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have time for anybody's jealousy. If they have a problem with me sitting up here as a woman, as a Black woman, whatever, build a bridge and get over it, is what I have to say about it. So that letter is going in the trash where it belongs, okay? And anybody else who got it, I would encourage you to do the same. Ball it up, ball that ish up and throw it in the trash, because that's what it is.
Wasting trees.
We are not going to let you, whoever wrote that letter, we're not going to let you divide us. We're not going to let you divide us by race. You won't divide us by social status, and you won't divide us by education. We are Pennsgrove United. I think there's more of us here in this town who want to be united than the few that want to cause division. So what I say to that is, let's continue to stand together, Black, white, yellow, red, brown, and let's continue to be united and let's continue to stand together. And that's what I have to say about that. So whoever wrote that letter, you can take your letter and you can eat it. And that's my comment today. So forgive me for my rant.
Just to comment on that, it makes, and I kind of laughed when I did see it, because they said something about race. But it's like Mary Kay was replaced by a Caucasian man. So it's like, how can you say it has anything to do with race when it wasn't a African-American or Hispanic person who replaced her? It was, you know, same color that she is that did replace her. So
And I think everyone can look up here. I mean, none of us are the same people that were up here before. I think we look beautiful. So.
I laughed when I seen it. Wasted trees
Ink.
and ink.
All right. Moving on to appointments. Katrina M. Connolly for Penns Grove Ambulance. And I ask this question all the time. Are we supposed to vote on that? Mr. Tarver?
You did.
And you're muted.
Tropical tree.
Sorry, the tropical winds got in my ear here. I didn't have a chance to hear you.
The pina colada.
But I think that that's a pro forma appointment, so I don't believe that you have to vote on that particular one. I think it's just presented to the council.
Okay, all right. So congratulations to Katrina and Connolly for the Penns Grove Ambulance Department. All right, we don't have any old business? Sure.
This goes to Mr. Brown again. What are we doing, dog registration?
That's a clerk, that's not me.
Happening now.
Okay, we're gonna set something up. Okay. Let me know and I'll help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to get back from the, yes, Mr. Loud question.
Sure, go ahead.
Transitional aid, they give you a percentage.
Well, if you ask for, I believe, 25% less, then you don't have to do a letter to the director asking for more aid. So, but everything's predicated when we get the budget together, so it's hard to say. I mean, I would say it's kind of looking good, but I don't want to say it 100%, right?
Well, I remember last year they were saying that it was like maybe 85%.
Yes, yes. You anticipate 85% in the budget. That's what we did. That's what we can do. And that's what we did. We
So
always
it's the
followed
same.
guidelines, yes.
Can we get 85% of the additional?
Well, I mean, this brings a crucial point, because you see it on the agenda. There's money that we're kind of we're guaranteed 85% of what we got the previous year, which would be a really significant cut to our budget, right? Like we lose 15%. That's hard to make up for. So one of the main things we're being judged on is the recovery plan. And I think there are 8 items on there, and we now, as of tonight, after we approve the mission statement, the only other thing that we need is we have to get job descriptions for every employee approved by council. We're going to work on that through the governance committee and get those to council. And let me say to all the staff, if you see your job description on the agenda, don't get nervous. It's just a formality. That doesn't mean anything else. Don't overthink it or anything. And then we really want to see if we can get most of it done by the time we get the documents into the state, because that will give a stronger application. We want to get as much money as possible, just as we did last year for Barbara Avenue Park and for demolition. We want to get as much money as possible, and we do that by following the rules and the guidelines they've given us, and everybody just being on their best behavior, because between Mr. Sastelli and Ms. Suarez, they watch us just like they watch every other municipality.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was one of the reasons why we got, I think it was 425,000 additional, in addition to our 550,000 that we get for state aid. We got $425,000 additional just because we followed that recovery plan. And if anybody from the public is interested in seeing that recovery plan, it is on our borough website. And you can look at it and you can read it. We have accomplished so much in that recovery plan. We have done things that the state has been asking us to do for over 10 years. This is the first time since I took office that this borough has followed the recovery plan. And what that recovery plan is for, As I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's to get us off of welfare. I call state aid welfare. We don't want handouts. We don't want welfare. We want to be a municipality that can sustain itself and take care of its own problems. So kudos to council for passing everything that we needed to. We only have a few more items to go. So, yes.
And one question for Mr. Tarver. The money that we were going to get for the pilot for the apartment complex, is that complete? I think it was $125,000.
Yes, I was just on the phone with Mr. Coggins, and the attorneys from Gluck Warworth are going to be presenting me with a what's called a sidecar agreement, hopefully by next week.
So do we have any?
We expect to get that very soon.
We expect to have it soon?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that's unrestricted funds,
Yes.
if I remember.
Yes, that's what we did. We made it unrestricted.
Explain that, unrestricted.
Yeah, as opposed to funds that have to be spent for a specific purpose, as many times we do, this particular sidecar indicates that the funds that we will receive can be used for purposes designated by the municipality as they see fit.
It might be money for your laptops.
I got a question for Sean.
Sure.
If he's the one to answer this, as far as the Barber Avenue Park, it just came to my mind when I heard it. As far as, has the final blueprint or whatever revamping we're supposed to be doing to the park, has it been done? Or has it been finalized? And if so, can I see it whenever, or am I able to look at it when it's done?
So I think it was December, we had it was 16 points on the agenda, as I recall. And one of the things that I was asked for was to send the list. So you have it in your email.
Okay.
In terms of blueprints, I understand what you're saying. There isn't, only because if you were looking at aerial view of the park, you're today versus, let's say, a year from now, there are going to be two significant changes. You'll see a larger basketball court that's going to be NBA size. It has to be extended 4 feet one way and like 2 feet the other way. So they're going to chip all that up and then basically just put a new court on. That's also, it won't be asphalt. It will be, it's a different material that's a little bit more bouncy, which is the modern way parks are done. And then the mayor shared with Sean and I, how would you describe that? Like a multi-use, multi-sport, that's the word.
Tennis.
I don't do sports. Yeah. So it's going to be not just for basketball, you'll be able to do other things with it as well. The other significant difference, and then we're going to get some of the parkour section is actually, it's not in good condition at all. It needs to be brought up. It's broken. It's I don't want to say the D word, but it's broken. It needs to be fixed. And then in the playground area, new mulch, new equipment, both playground areas, because there's a 0 to 4 and a 5 to 10. And that will either new stuff going on the ground and then new equipment going in the playground areas. If we had more money, we may be able to
add another basketball court.
But they said the fence, there's a fence that
I've always hated that.
Ms. Worley, I'm looking at you right now. There's a fence at the park, and we might either there's been some talk about either putting a parking lot there or moving the fence to make the park more open. Then the other thing is, Mr. Rambo brought this to my attention. We kind of forgot that it's not just about Barber Avenue Park, there's also Memorial Park. Mm-hmm. When you look at Memorial Park, you might think that's the only thing, but all the woods to the left, that's also a part of Memorial Park. So it's also been talked about clearing that out. And so there's more space in that park as well, that's not final, but if money permits, we may be able to do that.
And we can get grant money every year for the park, like, isn't that what is it, the community, I forget the grant that was.
Community development.
Yeah, that, we can get that every year, right? We can apply for that every year.
Yeah, but it will be unusual to get. The amount of money we have right now is probably a one-time hit.
Okay, my question is, so the water park, the water thing, like where the exercise equipment is, we could potentially
so
take that
if you
out.
look at the list that we sent, the water park is the last thing on the list, as I recall. And it's really, really expensive. I think the quote came in at 100, if I recall, $110,000. And that's because you're digging up the ground, you have to put a tank under the ground, create a new line, put the equipment in. I think we all know prices have skyrocketed. The guy told me today, a 2x4, what do you call it? 2x4 used to be $2 to $3, now it's $8. So the cost, it's a cost issue. We know that the water park is something that this community has desired for a long time, but it's just going to need additional funds in order to fund it.
Okay. And it's, Miss Worley doesn't have any of that information, because I'm on that.
Oh, right, she doesn't have it. Okay, yeah, I'll forward that, yeah, that's right. I'll forward that stuff to you, Ms. Worley.
Thank you.
I'll send it to you right now, actually.
So for my original question, so if we, as Steve indicated, when you get grant money, it's not required that you spend it that year. So we have to get a grant a couple times and hold that money to be able to put in the additional water park. We can do that, right?
Okay.
We can talk about this later. Let me just say this. Find a way to get the water park.
Yes.
Look for the money and let's get the water park. That's all it is.
Splash pad.
Yes, the splash pad. That's what I mean, the splash
Yes.
pad.
So what happened was we were able, in discussing everything we got done, we're able to pretty much with the money we had, get everything done. That was the only thing that we couldn't because of the price. And I want to say it was even more than 100 something.
He whispered to me 125, so I might be, I'll see it in a
I
second.
think it's like, it was double that.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a lot because you had the filtration, you had all that, and I knew all that added to be a lot. So I know we wanted that, but we definitely wanted, but we had to wait because the money that we got for the park was already, for the demolition.
And is there a plan, like, I know it's supposed to be a sport park, like, who's gonna have like the netting and the things like that? That's, if you wanted to switch it up to play volleyball, say, like, who's gonna have possession of that? Because it just can't be there.
They should have to come to the borough.
Yeah, they should have to come to the borough and we can put in a mechanism to control that.
Yeah, I mean, because
This is how we should be talking during a work session. Yeah.
if you wanted to play tennis.
I think we could put in a mechanism to control that. Maybe they come to the borough and sign it out. Someone go over and put it up or something and take it down at the end of the day or something like that. Like we can figure that part out.
And you gotta figure out security on over there.
Work
too.
session. I know. All right, moving on.
I have
No question.
I have a quick question.
Yes, important.
Mr. Brown, on that Barber Avenue Park,
Yes.
on the east side of it, on the Smith Avenue side, is anything at all gonna be done with that fence line that's gonna make it tidier than what it is now, because it looks awful?
You said the east side, so,
So the one where the fire
Closer
was?
to-
That's another fence, the other
I
side?
think that's the side he's talking about where you want to put a parking lot where,
Okay, behind
Smith.
the batting cage, that fence over there.
yes, ma'am.
So the parking lot was only in discussion, correct?
yes.
Correct,
Okay,
yes, sir.
so is anything gonna be done to just, I mean, that side looks awful.
Yeah,
I
what I
agree.
noticed, what I noticed is when we did the landscaping, we just did the inner perimeter, but we really should have done the other side too. So, yeah, we can do
Okay,
that.
don't leave me out.
Once those
Right.
trees, once those trees grow up, you don't even know there's a park.
I know,
That's
I
the
know.
truth.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think the number on that water fountain was $225,000.
So I'll continue to look for the money, guys. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we'll figure it out.
I got one more thing.
Sure.
Yeah, well, like Mr. Brown again, or Mr. His partner over there.
Oh, don't put us together.
Yeah, I did.
We did Steve jealous.
I have to get complaints and I brought it to y'all's attention. I didn't bring it to Mr. Brown's attention, no. I know we don't have the inspectors, but the house down the street from me, 105.
Oh, okay, can we, close session, close session, okay.
We doing closed session.
And before the closed session, you can have an intimate or a smaller
We ain't doing closed
conversation.
session tonight, but something
Yeah.
needs to be
We'd rather
done.
close
You
session.
guys can talk about it tomorrow, is what I'm saying.
Well,
And then we'll have a closed session about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, but we should not talk about that real quick right now.
So you two talk about it tomorrow.
But I will say that there's a.
Say anything.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Tarver?
He said don't say anything, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, so there's no new business, I'm sorry, there's no old business. We do have an add-on resolution for consideration, and that is resolution 2022-3-59, and that's a resolution authorizing hiring of housing inspector and zoning official. May I have a motion to adopt by consent?
Motion to adopt by consent.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Council President Martin.
Can we have?
Can we have a discussion? Or does anyone want to discuss?
I'm on the committee, I have to say, and I haven't seen any resumes. That's Miss Mauer, and I haven't done an interview. And I went back and I looked at the council rules that we adopted. I'm going to quote the ordinance. I think it's an ordinance. Yeah. 2021-9-102 is Article 6, capital letter A, small letter E. And it says, in conjunction with the borough administrator, department head, and borough attorney, that the committees are to draft resolutions and ordinances and recommend actions in his or her area of responsibility. This hire, although I know that it is completely necessary, needed to come through committee, and it didn't. And I know that we've been asking for this position for probably over a year. It may even predate me coming up here. But we still have to follow the rules. And although I know that we are in desperate need, we still have to follow the rules. And I'm going to vote for this person to be hired, even though I don't know her. I don't know her
Are we voting on
qualifications.
excuse me, are we voting on the person?
On the
actual
person.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who interviewed her. Was in contact with our council president. She didn't interview her, and she's on the committee. I don't know if Mr. Rambo did. So we're walking into this blind as an elected official. And I don't feel like that I am fulfilling my responsibilities by doing that. So I made my little speech, and I know we're in desperate need, and the town needs somebody to do inspections. But this process cannot go on like this. We have to follow, we voted on these rules. If we're not going to follow them, who is? I mean, we have to follow our own rules, or else we'll be like the people that you see they're making everybody wear a mask, and then they don't wear masks. I don't want to be that person. So I'm going to do what I think is best for the town, is to get this person in. But this cannot happen again, because I will not be voting for hires that are in my area of responsibility, that I don't know, that I didn't read their qualifications, that I haven't met them.
No takers?
So, yeah, so, one thing, this candidate was, let me back.
I don't want to discuss their qualifications. I don't think that it's proper
okay.
in this setting.
I'm not discussing qualifications either. Hired in this position, can I speak freely? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. I'm making you nervous. Hired in this position no, let me put it this way. I agree that everybody, council, me, the mayor, the attorney, the staff, everybody has to follow the rules. Everybody has to go through that process, everyone. And that obviously includes me. And the only other thing I'll say is that we as administration recommended the best candidate we could. There are issues that are not appropriate for me to discuss right now. And I'll let Mr. Rambo speak for himself, but Mr. Rambo did interview the candidate as the chairman of the committee.
Okay.
Well, that was if he chooses to.
We haven't had a committee meeting, and we haven't had any resumes presented to us.
So I'm glad you said that. It's not.
What was that? Rob?
No, I was just simply going to say, as the proponent of the council rules, and as the one who brought those rules to the council, the councilwoman is correct. that there is a process to be followed. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we do going forward, notwithstanding whatever happened here, I think her point is that notwithstanding whatever happened here, we need to pay closer attention to what those rules say. And to the extent that we have a responsibility to follow those, we've got to follow them. I don't know if there's anything else more to say, except that I am strictly in favor of following those rules, and that's what we've got to make sure that we do. We're going to fall short sometimes, but we've got to do that. And I agree with her 100%.
Well, let me ask you a question, then, Mr. Tarter. Is it?
I'm not taking any questions right now, Mr. Brown. I don't think there's anything more to say on that. Okay, we could just move forward. We got to follow the rules, and that's it. I'm not going to answer any questions relative to following.
Yeah, if I ask the question,
what it is. Let's move forward.
Let's
move forward.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion adopted by Councilman Carter. And
It's 9 o'clock.
And we have the second.
Yeah, but he still can't be telling people to shut up. I don't care what that's.
Okay, come on, you guys, let's stop. No, you can't. Excuse me. Come on, you guys, you gotta get out of here. You need to have order. We have a motion adopted by Councilman Carter, and we have a second by Council President Mincy. Madam Clerk, can you do roll call, please?
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Council President Martin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mincy,
Yes.
Councilman Rambo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpese,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worley.
Yes.
All affirm, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, going into public comment. Anyone from the public?
Yes, it's 9 o'clock.
Yes.
State your name and your address.
No, you
Yeah, we
can
can
take
hear
your mask
you.
down. We can't.
I'm sorry. Brenda Fowler, 135 Diddy Avenue, Pittsburgh, New Jersey. Just two announcements. God bless you, council, and everyone in the room. Some of you may know I am a community health worker at the Pratt of Southern New Jersey. And I got some good news, Cal, you public health. We're having another vaccination clinic, trying to keep the community healthy, right? And that's going to be on March 14th, 3 to 6. And I'm gonna leave some flyers for you. Please let them know. We just want to keep people healthy. So get another one.
You said March 14th from what time to what time?
3 to 6.
Okay.
And my next one, as many of you know, I am the founder and executive director of Youth Empowerment Network. We're gonna be having our first fundraiser for our summer programming. Many of you know I'm familiar with the work of Youth Empowerment Network, the summer things that we did with the chief of police, and it's awesome, and with the mayor and Sean and everybody. We're gonna have our own fundraiser to raise, because I want all y'all to know that a lot of the summer things that we did came out of our pocket. But I love the young people. We love our young people. As Mayor Husband said, I don't mind digging in my pocket, but it takes teamwork to make the dream work. That's right. So you know what? We did it to get it off the ground, Mayor. We have to do it. It takes a village to raise a child. But this time, let's show the community that we're gonna have a public fundraiser, our first one. And it's gonna be half of an honor and celebration of Women's History Month. And it's gonna be actually Women Making a Difference Together brunch. And guess who's gonna be our keynote speaker? Our very own Mayor Ladina Thomas. We're asking her to be one of the keynote speakers, and I myself will be on that with her, just to let everybody know what we're doing and what our goals and what we're trying to do coming forward. And that will be on March the 26th. And I expect to see everybody in here, men are welcome, to be a part of that. We asking just for $20 donation or whatever is in your heart to give. What it's for? To do more summer things. We have something that we want to do, anti-violence, something with the kids, to keep them off the streets, to keep them safe. It's going to take money. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? We want to get money, but we want people to see that what are you doing to get money? But you ask me for my money. So we got to see we're going to work it out together. So please come and need a flyer, and I expect everybody to be here $20 donation. And what's the time for that? It's going to, thank you. I'm trying to rush because it's 9 o'clock. It's going to be March the 26th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's going to be located at the Silver Run Community Building. Okay. Okay, and 9 to 1, $20, and Lax will be catering it. Okay, and payment is on the flyer, Jenny, you can Power Network, 219, get that, and call me, my number's on the flyer. Thank you very much for the time, flyer. You just got the one. No, I'm gonna get 20 for even then. I'm gonna get one. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Ms. Fowler, make sure, as I always ask, any flyers like this, you guys have bids, email them to me, a nice electronic copy so they can be pretty when we post it.
Okay, thank you, and I will get this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
I got you. Wade Thomas, 40 Delaware. I was getting up here speaking about the letter that was passed out. That was passed out through my job. I really didn't appreciate it. I want everybody to know that. As far as that goes, that's over. I don't need it. I'm cool on paperwork. As far as, oh, all right. But the disrespect has got to go, bro. That is out. I'm gonna say something every time. I'm sorry. The internet, the YouTube, her husband worked at the post office. Leave me out this stuff. I'm not in politics. That's to everybody. The bullying, you guys, but them words are, you my elder. I didn't mean to say that, but I can't let that go on no more. The bullying, the slides when we had the meetings and all that stuff, that's wrong, y'all. That's not Penns Grove at all. I'm just letting you guys know that. It's a lot of people, I'm telling you, I done 4 years here and I ain't seen this work. I've been doing a lot of the work myself. I'm looking at all y'all up here, like whether it's the school board at these board game meetings, Christmas tree, that lot thing, I'm doing this stuff. But what I'm telling you guys, I ain't doing this for no disrespect at all. You're gonna have to respect me. I'm going too hard out here. I'm a young man out here. I'm working hard. I'm walking in the town. I want the town to see me doing this. So these kids know what to expect, what we gonna do. So the disrespect, I'm gonna say something every time. I do apologize. And I'm gonna tell y'all again as a whole, thanks for the prayers for my grandma and the flowers. And the second or third thing, I know I'm at 3 minutes, but we keep talking about, what's his name? Ken James. I hate to say this, I hate to say this, I try to bite my tongue. But we got the guy over the planning board and he didn't update our master plan when he was the mayor. What do we still have him over there for? I want everybody to think, I don't even want to answer, but if somebody's not good in the job position before, why the heck do we hire him back? I'm good. I got nothing else to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. All right.
Did that get passed down? Did that get passed down?
Oh, no.
Yeah, real quick, just one thing. I just want to make sure everyone saw that.
Come on up, sir.
Russell Dodge, 38 Pennsville Oliver Road, Peppertown, New
Hi,
Jersey.
Mr. Dodge. It's nice to put it
Yeah, quick question. What about the demo on, what is it, Cumberland Avenue? How soon's that happening? Just quick, you know, I'm not trying to,
Mr. Brown.
Once,
Councilman Worley.
once I don't know that just yet. Once I speak to Mr. Smith, he will give me a list of everything. And then as soon as I get some information from him, I'll be able to have that out to you as well. Okay, right now I don't have a definite answer.
I know it was out for bid and all, but one other thing too. I'm glad you guys finally hired somebody for the housing. I'm a landlord. I've fared very well the last 2 years. Some haven't. I'm sure you're getting requests for the registration because I think they need it now for evictions, COs.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to keep an eye on that for the registrations. They used to collect money. We used to have to do it yearly. I think it would be smart just to do it with the CO, do the registration with the CO one time. So when a tenant moves, they stay there for 10 years, the registration's good. They move out, then we just, do a new, put it together. Because like I said, a lot of landlords took a beating. People chose not to pay when they could pay. You know that. So like I said, just to help some of these landlords because there are a lot of taxpayers in this town, just so, just saying that, that's all.
Yeah, if I may, I want to clarify, I'm glad you said, I want to clarify something. That I'm saying this, I learned this in this job.
Yeah.
But you're using the word registration is the correct word. So there's registration, and there's inspection. So we are not accepting applications for landlord inspection because we don't have the capacity after losing a court case to do so. I love your idea.
Here's the thing.
I like your idea a lot, though, of adding the registration form as part of the CO. That makes a lot of sense. If you're a homeowner, you don't need to do it. If you're a landlord, just put it together because right now they're two separate applications. And then when you pay your fee, it would just include both of those things.
Because Salem City kind of did it. They send me a registration every year. It is a registration, still called a registration. They can't collect any money on it because of that Bridgeton court case. But here's the issue now. The doing eviction for a lot of these landlords, it just came up since in the last year. So we're, just to help these landlords out because it's gonna, sometimes it's taking a beating, man. They haven't gotten any money in 2 years. So, but, all right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Nice meeting you.
I'll just say this, Mr. Brown, you said we're not, I'm sorry, wait a minute, my grandkids call me, I'm trying to hang up. You said we're not taking, what you said we're not taking now?
Okay. There was a time that Penns Grove charged landlords a registration fee.
Yearly inspection?
For yearly inspection.
Okay.
But we weren't doing the yearly inspections because we didn't have the staffing capacity. A landlord sued and won.
Yes.
And then there was a refund process that occurred.
So why aren't we doing it now?
It's for the same reason. What we have in our budget is for a part-time inspector. So even if you combine code enforcement and housing, at the rate that we're paying, the hours that's budgeted for, that's filled up with just doing the initial COs.
Okay, well, let me stop you because time is late. We're gonna talk about that in the budget meeting because the mayor will tell you, and Mr. Seftelli will tell you, that's one of my pet peeves.
I know.
That we budgeted for two part-time housing inspectors, so we can do that, and that money that they bring in will pay your salary.
Right.
So it will be in there.
Well,
So we'll talk about the budget meeting.
What Rich asked me a question sorry to put you out here, Rich. Rich asked me a question. Rich asked me a question a couple of weeks ago, and us having to do COs and saying, what's the difference between the housing inspector does, zoning officer does, inspections and COs? And they're four different things with four different standards. Well, what I told him is I'm gonna work with Mr. Tarver, and I mean you're my motivation for this. I think it would be helpful for all of us and for the residents and for our website to clarify who does what, who has what responsibilities, what skills we need in those people, who can do at least two of those four things, just like Casey did, zoning and housing. Can the CO person do inspections as well, because there are similar ones inside, ones outside. So we can prepare that and then look and then make the budgetary decisions from there.
You still need 3 people. Because that zoning person can do the regular inspection. The other 2 are just to do, we have so many, sorry, Mr. Landlord, but we have so many landlords that haven't had a yearly inspection.
Right.
Those 2 part-time people can just
So
do work.
So what we did is the mayor was with me. Now I'm gonna do this to you. The mayor and I talked about this. We were talking about exactly what you're talking about. I hopped on the phone with my landlord because he owns 44 properties. And came into Pennsauken. And I asked them, how does it work there? Every municipality does it different. They all charge a different rate. Some of the inspections are in depth. Some of them, they're really just robbing you and just looking at the front of the house and whatever. It's just a way, he says, described as just a way for them to collect money. Because, especially after me doing this, I see your point, 68% of the households in Penns Grove are rental properties. So the other issue is going to present us with is one of equity, because I'll talk to you about it one-on-one, but we have to have a strategy and with Mr. Rambo. But we will have to have a strategy of how we're identifying people, because it's not a big problem. But you're going to have certain landlords feeling attacked, and they're going to come and call you and Rambo and saying that the administration is going after them.
They ain't been inspected in years. Someone get over it.
Yeah. So until we do that, that's why we're taking the CO process so seriously. I think Erica was strict what she did, and Casey was. We're doing so as well. And the person that council approved tonight, I also know will have that energy as well. So what you're saying, you're right. This could just get lumped into the budget conversation as well. So let's,
It needs to.
let me, this deserves a memo that includes I wanted to include the court case as well. So we all know the rules that we're working within. And like Mr. Dodge said, this is new where the court will not evict somebody without a landlord registration. So that motivates the landlords to put who their tenants are on record. Or else they won't be able to get rid of them if they stop paying rent.
And they still ain't, 'cause my sister, I guess I said, she was just in the house and the man never got a CO. And I told her she needed one, but they end up letting her out of the lease. But yeah, right down the street from me, he never got one. And I keep an eye on the house in case he moves somebody else in there.
So another thing too, I just want to add, so for those two positions that we have been wanting for since 2020. What I think, Steve, what you told me, which makes a lot of sense. The first year, we have to build that up.
The money.
Collecting.
So with the first year, basically, then.
So we're gonna have to get that money, we're gonna have to get the money
We'll have
to
to put the
pay
money in,
them.
then it'll fund itself once we get the medicine started, get collecting fees, and it's really, that fee can only offset that office. That's where the suit came in, because you didn't do the annual inspections, you were charging money, the boroughs, these municipalities were almost making a profit off that. So basically, you get the fees in, it's dedicated to cover the cost of the office and friends benefits and so forth.
And that's why you want them two people dedicated to just that, so they can go back that next year and just do that. Then you won't get in that problem again. Right now, I'm ready to go home.
One last thing, the Christmas lights are still up in the park. I haven't been out in a little bit because I've had some issues, but I think they're still up. We have one star up too.
Yeah, the stars come down.
Okay.
In terms of the lights in the park, we were talking about every holiday, like changing the colors, like for St. Patrick's Day, green.
I don't know, like I said, I haven't been out in a little bit, but they were tore off the bushes, just laying on the ground.
Yes,
I hope they were blown off by
I just want to
the.
remind you of this. So,
Mayor and council, I went out there myself, I think the other week, because it was down on the ground. I don't know if somebody is just tearing them down, or like you said, the wind is blowing, not sure. But I don't know how to keep that up. Hopefully Mr. Rambo can be, he's an expert, he can help me out with that.
Well, the plan with that was we were supposed to be buying multicolor net lighting. for bushes.
Yes.
And all at one time, being that everybody's so busy, we were going to remove the lights and replace it with the multicolors, which you can change the colors. And then we were going to store the white lights, but never received the other lights. So in everybody's defense, our plan didn't go through as planned.
No, before they're destroyed.
So we really, now we have a couple warm days, we really need to get them down. You're correct.
you got that, or you need help?
I can do it myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, that concludes our meeting.
Oh, Mr.
I'm sorry, Mr. Giordano, I apologize. Go ahead.
I can tell I'm really loved. My name is Ron Giordano at 7 Sac Avenue. I want to say hello to all the council people, and I know it's late. I know we all want to get out of here. I just have a few things, if I may. Actually, I have a question about the one thing on here, which I didn't understand what it is. The one ordinance was amending section 85 of the code of the Borough of Pennsgrove. I have no clue what this is. Does anybody up here, can they tell me what section 85 is?
Yes, I believe that's the ordinance that was amending the zoning application fees, changing it from $10 to $25.
Great.
Yeah, and
That's
going
good news.
forward, we're going to put the title in, so you know what the code is.
Right. That would be great.
Notice that, so we're gonna do that.
That is good news. I'm glad to hear that. And hopefully we'll do the same thing with the COs and raise them up to like 125.
Yes.
And I know Carol Mintz's been thinking about that very hard. Look, I think all of you guys are doing a great job. Sonia, I gotta say that You're doing a tremendous job here on council, and I think the people made a good choice when they elected you.
Oh, thank you, sir. I would
You're
definitely
welcome.
do my best. I appreciate that.
And I just want to say a few things as far as we were talking about the COs and inspections. And I can't emphasize how important that is, because it's also intertwined with permits. And I'll just enlighten you with the fact that when you go out for an inspection for a CO, for an example, and Rich was just touching on it lightly, but it's so important because when he goes out for an inspection, there may be a new water heater that was put in or a new boiler that was put in without a permit. Okay, so that CO should not go through until that person or that landlord gets a permit and has that closed out, and then he can get the CO. So you see, the money actually works both ways with the permit as well as with the CO and the housing and inspections that we're all talking about. It's really, really important that we have the officers available for inspections, code enforcement, zoning. And if you have just, as I said before, just one officer for housing and zoning will be fine. I mean, he can do the job, but honestly, with this town, especially with the number of apartments that we have, I think Sean touched on 68%. I mean, that's a lot. That's quite a bit. And if you'll notice, Casey was just working part-time and he was bringing a lot of money in each month just on COs. That wasn't even including as far as code enforcement inspections and everything else. But, and he was only working part-time, just 1 day a week. Now, with us doing correctly the job that should be done, really, it will be not a problem to afford to have a full-time officer and zoning person down the road, not off the bat, but down the road it's possible. And I might add that once it gets generated, you're going to find that we're going to see increased business, because let me tell you the other dilemma we're having. Contractors don't want to come in here.
That's right.
Because the permits take too long to get done. It takes them over a month to get before they get the permit, get it all concluded, get it inspected, and get out. Some of them it actually costs them more money. I'll give you an example. Let's say he's got a plumber's got a trench that he's got to put in. All right, so he digs the trench and he puts the pipe in. All right, now he wants to have his guy come back and close it up. But the inspector's not going to come for another week. Well, if he leaves it open, what if somebody trips in that trench? I don't care if you even put a gate around. A kid could trip and into that trench. Well, there's a week that goes by, so what's the plumber do? What does he do in most cases? He closes it up so he doesn't get sued. And then he goes back the day before and opens it back up to have the inspector look at it. That's another $1,000 it costs him. You see why the contractor's not very happy with us? They don't really like to come to this town. But we can change all that. And it's important that we do, because it all means a lot for our income. It means a lot also for developers coming in, getting more ratables. It all goes together. Now, having said that, I just want to say one more thing. Medania, that letter, as far as what it said about you, are no racist.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. I appreciate that.
And I know for a fact that totally was out of line. Having also, but I want to say that the things that are happening in the town, and I hope I'm wrong, but I see a pattern like Carol's no longer council president. Irene's no longer in finance. I know you let Kenny James go, but I know he was a little out of line, but the man's very good at what he does. And honestly, I think that Kwok and what he's trying to do and bringing it, I know I shouldn't mention the name, but
yeah, let's not mention I'm gonna have to stop you.
I'll just say
I'm
a
just gonna have to
developer-
stop you there.
Give me a developer coming in. Anyhow, I'll just move on with that. I'm sorry about that. And then people think that, you know, the same thing because you let Joe Kenny, then you let Mary Kay go for whatever reason. So it shows a pattern. All I'm saying to you is that I want you to be more cautious about what's taking place and what's coming down. Because you got plenty of time to change this, to get the council all back on board, get them all together. Because this town can go somewhere. It really can.
And
I'm sorry, please.
yes,
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to respond to things have changed and the council president, that was a vote. That didn't have anything to do with the mayor. It didn't have anything to do with me, if that's an issue. It wasn't. It was a vote on council. So then that's the process. That's the process. Next year, you know, you can put another president in. And I have to be mature enough to accept that. So it's that. That's been the process. So I don't really understand that. Another thing, so what you're saying, and I'm sorry, because I just can't.
No. Bring it out.
What you're saying about things changing and, you know, looks like a pattern, well, then that's your opinion.
It is my
One
opinion.
person out of how many people, if you talk to someone else, well, they say the same thing. So, you know, she's a different person. She's a different mayor than the last one, and will be the next one that comes on. They're different. They rule differently. You can't expect people to work as a clone. We're not clones, and you can't expect the same thing after the same thing. Heck, if it didn't work the first time, why are we continuing to do it the same way? So that's and I'm sorry, I just could not sit in that.
So don't apologize, please. Don't apologize. For giving your opinion. It's your opinion.
just to reply to or to respond, again, I'll make a point. Mary Kay James, Sewage Authority, not my appointment. That's council's appointment. I recommend whom I choose. Again, as I've reiterated 1,000 times, Mary Kay, she never indicated to me. Miscommunication, she and I talked about it, no harm, no foul. Kenny James, he never indicated to me either. He couldn't even have a conversation with me without yelling and screaming at me. So that's a whole different thing. But he never indicated to me and said, Mayor, you know, I'd like to be reappointed to the planning board. People have to let me know. Now, what I did say was, you know, going forward, we'll figure out a better communication for that. But I didn't fire him. I didn't hire Mary Kay. I didn't fire her. In fact, I appointed Kenny James and I appointed Mary Kay. So I had no issues with anybody. I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. Neither indicated to me that they wanted to be reappointed. And that's the only reason why. So
Thank you for clearing that up, Ladania. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
We ain't got no more to adjourn.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. All right.
Greg Martin, Spruce Street. What the Mayor Ladana, you doing a fine job. What a lot of people don't like change. What I say with the auction and this council is trying to do things above board and people is not doing stuff behind the back door. It's a lot of energy in this town. They might not come here, but people do talk. So you're doing a wonderful job. You talk, Ron, you talk about coming together. You can't come together when you talking about coming together, but then you're trying to divide again. It's the level of respect that people like, and if you want respect, you got to give respect. You know, you can't tell people to shut up and all that kind of stuff. It's just not right. You just don't do stuff like that. That doesn't bring people together. What that does is people doing the same thing. I wasn't even gonna say, I got a question about the max span auction. Is there an ordinance as far as the adjacent properties goes to people's?
I did not.
First right of yes, do they get first right of refusal?
Yes, it's a state law, actually. It's a state.
Okay. What is max span
for
doing?
non-conforming lots?
For non-conforming lots.
Without structures.
What's non-conforming?
All right, so non-conforming.
No.
I got it. All right. All right, so when the zoning rules say in residential 1, residential 2, residential 3, all different it says, it gives the rules of what you can put a house on. For the most part in Penns Grove, it's 100 by 100, so it's a
10,000 square feet.
yeah, 10,000 square feet.
It'll be big enough.
Now, with that said,
It's not big enough.
but that said,
It's not.
10,000 square,
Okay.
10,000 square feet isn't me telling you enough. So so the zoning rules might say, you can only put a house here, but if you put a house here, it has to have the yard has to be a certain size, they have a certain amount on the sides. And it depends on the zone of what that is. So a non-conforming lot could be a lot that is 20 feet long, but 5 feet wide.
Can't put a house on
Can't
it.
put
You
a
don't,
house on
I don't need you, because the hours, I don't need you to go deep in detail. That's what I know.
Yeah.
So what is he doing to ensure that he's contacting? Because I don't want the stuff to go backwards.
All the next door neighbors of non-conforming lots by now have received a letter alerting them of the auction.
When you say next door neighbors, you yourself just said we have 68% renters, right?
Right.
Just because you sent in a letter to such and such house doesn't mean it got to the owner.
Yes, good point.
So I want to be very careful for this stuff to go through, and then next thing you know, yep, you're excused.
And that's the scary part, the stuff that keeps popping up that you didn't know about and all that.
Yeah, so.
Well, may I just be heard on that, Mayor?
Sure.
When you're talking about advisement, non-contiguous lots and contiguous owners, you're talking about advisements going to the taxable owner, not to the home. So to whoever is paying the taxes on that and listed as the owner, it's
That's
not
what I'm
just being
saying.
mailed to the home, just so that we're clear.
So is Max Span making sure that they're sending it to the owner?
That's what we do.
Because some of
Yeah,
these
that's
owners
part
live
of,
in Florida, and as we know, a lot of these people are not, don't live here.
Right, 1, they'll be here tomorrow, but 2, I'll verify that with them tomorrow.
Oh, that's why, that's the reason why I'm bringing it up.
Ms. Scarpese would know,
She's not feeling well.
because she lives next to one.
Well, they can
But-
send those certified letters, they can send those certified.
Yeah.
Then there have to be a signature.
That's why I brought it up, because, you don't want to go backwards.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what, I'm gonna take, I know the hours late. so-
Mayor, I received mine.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
All
Mayor,
right.
I said it already, son, you know. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Motion made by
Second.
Mr. Carter. May I have a second? Second by Council President Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone, see you March 15th for the work session. Thank you very much. God
oh
bless
my
you.
God, Councilman.
Whoever's printing these, please.